Hey, 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 hey. Oh, oh, oh. If you still hey to everybody, I know I'm late. I know. Miss Tom, I know. Samantha, yeah. I'm sorry. Listen, and I'm not going to stop. Oh, let me put something up. I'm going to go right on in to what I wanted to talk about. It looked like, hey, did y'all see? Oh, dang, you can't see it. Dang it. Um, It's been a lot going on today. But listen, I'm not going to stall. I'm going to go right into it because, you know, Erika, Erika, Kirk, and Candace, you know, they trying to do the guy is mine. I don't think it's Candace. I think it's Erika Kirk trying to do that Michael Jackson, the boy is mine. He my husband type stuff, but she acting like he an enemy. And she did a couple of interviews that I have not listened to, so I want us to do a reaction on them together before we actually tap into whatever she got going on herself. Is that all right? So I'm not gonna stall anymore. I know about the video I did before this one about the new pictures that was released last night late at the end of the Candace video. I went into the Hebrews, Israelites, and the Jews to break that down. If y'all want to go check that out, it's there. I may do it later on tonight. But let's tap into this. Let's hear these because there's two of them. But this. I'm gonna
So I was
start with
not having the
him
same experience as
because they said that this is never seen before. So I guess this is a part of their interview. The guy who was sitting there, trying to entice her in her own home. Yeah. I remember. I didn't like that too well. Uh, they said that this is a part that we never saw. So let's check it out. Let's go.
everybody else with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Everyone felt moved by it, but for me, it was obviously another layer of it because I knew him, and that's why I had to go away for a couple of weeks. So Wyoming to just kind of like just feel okay, breathe some air, and hike some mountains. But when I came back, I was kind of surprised by how the internet was really angry about the memorial. Right? They were like, "This is fake," and da da da. And I actually went back and I realized, I kind of recognized what it was, is there was an element to that felt like political pageantry. You know what I mean? Like, why is Susie Wiles at Charlie? Like, she didn't know Charlie Kirk. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And Christianity is, I think it felt like, and with everyone coming out, and Charlie loved the Lord, and it's like, do you love the Lord? Like, do you love the Lord when you're saying the story, and here's what turning point's going to be, or is this now becoming a politicized faith, right? And what Christianity is, getting to your last point, is it's brokenness. Like, it's brokenness. It is anger at God at moments. I did not understand why Charlie was. I had to contend with God, and I had to get on the phone with the priest and cry and be angry and feel that sort of like, that wrath of man. We aren't able to figure it out that easily and be like, well, this is what God wanted. And I think that maybe some of that response that people had made me realize that was what was missing. It was like, well, no, but where is, like, we're just human, right? And we are right to feel angry and not understand why this happened, and to go through those emotions and to seek that guidance from, as I needed to, from a priest. I still don't understand it fully. I'm still trying to work through why Charlie had to go.
See, what do you, when like, I've seen footage of him saying, well, like, it's obviously a viral clip where he said, like, well, what I do think is that all Jews should come to Jesus, like, they should all convert. Like, do you think that he was moving more in the direction of explicitly declaring the supreme power is Christ, and therefore any political movement or leader is temporary, and the kind of reverence and worship that cultish political leaders have always attracted whether that's Barack Obama or Donald Trump, is not really, like, they're just administrators. They're just administrators, really.
Yeah, right. And largely, and as I've been getting to with this Calvary Church, and they were kind of what stepped in, and somebody said to me at the White House, was like, how, when did Turning Point become this faith organization? Like, when you and Charlie were going through,
Yeah, when did it become faith?
And all we saw were these pastors
When
coming out saying that,
Netanyahu
like, it wasn't.
started that
It
campaign.
actually wasn't. Like, this was actually an infiltration, and
Absolutely. Because Bibi Netanyahu said that he was starting the conversion and that he was going to do it by way of mega churches. So what happened was it was bait and switch. Yeah, they acted as if they was interested in Charlie and Candace's movement, got behind them with funds and donations, because the best way to get somebody to interact or is to throw out money. And you start getting sponsors and donations, and it's like, whoa, they really must believe in us. And until they get their agenda and they're ready to execute, and then now they're finna pull that rug, right? And now they're going to tell you, well, we're going to go in a different direction, so we need to start pushing faith, because Christians, we need Christians. Come out. I'm not Christian, but I need for you Christians to vote. You gotta vote. This will be the last time. Yeah, so they, at that time, changed. And somewhere in those meetings, they said, okay, so how can we infiltrate this? The mega churches, we're going to act like we are going to put faith first, and instead of faith in Jesus Christ, because you remember what we listened to last night, what for the ones who was there, is that in order to be the inheritance, in order to be a part of the bloodline of the inheritance, you're entitled to the inheritance by faith in Jesus Christ. It's by faith. But you see the manipulation? They're not saying faith in Jesus Christ. They're just saying faith and works. Now, the Bible says faith without works is dead. It says faith without works is dead. That means that you cannot have faith unless your faith is being tested. And somebody's going to say, no, that's not what that means. No, that's saying, God's saying you take one step, he take two. It didn't say that. It never said that. So, if it's faith without the evidence thereof, whatever. So you just going to say you have faith and you got faith? What's your testimony? What was your test? What was your test that you went through, that you worked through by faith? Now, what's your evidence? How do we know you have faith? Because you said it? Because you did everything God said to do and you perfect? No, he says, unless you brag. Come on now. So what is your measure of faith? Because if you ain't went through nothing, if you ain't worked yourself through by the grace of God, you just talking with your mouth. You don't have faith. You just know you're supposed to say you have faith. But what is your evidence? Do you have a testimony? What was your test? Because you do not have a testimony without a test. Right? So yeah, they playing Yeah, now we know that they have played with scripture. They done played and they so yeah, faith is an issue, but they're saying faith by works. And what is that? Genocide? Huh? Stealing people land? Yeah, no. He said that you are in an inheritance. You are blood by way of acceptance and faith in Jesus Christ. Because if you don't have it in Jesus Christ, you're not entitled. You're not gifted in. You're not honored in. You're not grandfathered in. You're nothing. You can't get an inheritance. Your name is not on the will if you do not have faith in Jesus Christ. So it's changed now. And they are still trying to manipulate God's word. Same way they tried to say that this fight, this war is of two brothers, Esau and Jacob. And wrong answer. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's why Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So y'all changed that. Y'all manipulating. Faith by works is a lie. The Bible says, lest you brag. No man or woman stir up righteousness within their own self, lest you brag. So I need for us to be clear that there is an inheritance in faith in God, Jesus Christ. So when people say, oh, I believe in God, we need to now start making people say, what God? Or who you talking about? Say his name. Say it loud and say it proud. You understand? Because they are playing with scripture. So I believe Candace when she said they were not faith. Where's this faith coming from? Where are we at with this? And then we happen to see where Bibi Netanyahu is spending millions to push faith by work through mega churches. I said, oh Lord, look at the devil. He really trying to get in. He's on a mission to convert Christians to Zionists. You know, that's why I always said I have a problem why they gotta have a Christian Zionist. And why are they not just Zionists? Didn't they used to just be Zionists, Zionism, all of that? Why are they now putting Christians on there? Because that's the target. So y'all, we gotta stay woke. When these pro-Israel, when these people who are saying they are for God and then their actions don't line up, we need to start putting them to the test. Bible says you can judge a tree by its fruit, and then it also says try the spirit by the spirit. So challenge that spirit. What God? You, Say your God. What's your God name? And then they start squirming. Like I said, I mean, I don't have to. I mean, that's personal. That's between, oh, so you can't say his name, so you denying him. Oh, okay, then you know it's out of order. Okay? Okay, T-Sippers? Yeah, because this right here is we're here. Precious say it's spiritual, but they trying to play with it, you know, in your face, and don't want to say Jesus Christ. Then you're not a part of the inheritance. Whether you are a Hebrew an Israelite or Jew. If you deny him, you're not a part of the inheritance. And that don't matter if you from the motherland or not. And that's the problem. That's the cover up. Let's listen.
When you start looking into these pastors and how scandalized they are, you go, okay, well, the obvious thing to hijack if you're the government and you are at war with faith, you need to politicize faith. You need to get
Hey,
in there.
Peter.
You need to have people. And I
Hey,
look at these
Mrs. Tom.
sermons, and so many pastors are getting up and they're talking about Tucker Carlson. I'm like, what goes on at these? Like,
Hey.
if my priest got up and started speaking about Tucker Carlson, I would leave. I don't like. I can go home and watch Fox News. Like, I can go home and watch CNN. I don't need to drive to a cathedral to listen about your opinions on Trump. And
I have a problem with a pastor uses the pulpit for like telling off people or speaking on a the word. That ain't what I came to church for. That I didn't come to church for worldly things. I have that in every day. Well, no. What are we doing? And when I see preachers doing that, I will begin to wonder if you are called or if you are chosen, or did you just, apply for a job? What are we doing? I come for the word, the gospel. I didn't come for trying to chastise somebody on the cool in the pulpit and covering up and lying. Yeah, so I don't blame her for that. I will leave too. I put my little church finger up and I bounce on out. Baby, I came for a word. I didn't come for the gossip. What we doing? Yeah, what type of preacher is this? What? I get it.
That's kind of been kind of the onion that we've been peeling back. Is like, when did Fox News? Like, I can go home and watch CNN. I don't need to drive to a cathedral to listen about your opinions on Trump. And that's kind of been kind of the onion that we've been peeling back. Is like, when did this kind of hijacked faith thing start to happen in America, where it became so political? When pastors were
my
vying
church
for
finger.
political power.
You got a church
And it's not
finger
to
too,
say
don't you?
that there is-
It's the pointing finger. You stick that finger up and you slide past the people. Excuse me. Bring your little finger up and walk on out. I don't think church is a place. I mean, I know church is a place for that finger right there. That finger, raise it right on up. Grab your purse and your Bible. Walk out real cute, like don't look back. Just walk on out. That ain't what I come to church for. Now I know the church is for the sick, but if you are called, yeah, I don't. Preach the gospel. You're supposed to be making sure people have their relationship with God and they have accepted Him, and that you are providing the good news. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We live in the world, right? And I don't want to go out and bring somebody in and you talking crazy in the pulpit. What is this? The devil done made his way in. What is that? Yeah, so if a pastor is going in, now that's gonna disturb my peace. Yeah, no, I don't blame him.
is the separation between church and state. I actually don't think there is, right? I actually think that, what is the story of Christ? Like, it was the most politicized event, right? That was the whole point, is politics, and there was constantly kind of this clash. But what we're seeing now is definitely cultish. It is not faithful at all, and I hope that the consequence will be that it will pull people into the Orthodox and Catholic direction.
When I was I did a couple of Turning Points events, and I'm scheduled to do one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if, like, if we put out this content and this content does well, am I going to get a phone call?
And let me say this, because I don't want to seem like, because she really does just go to a denomination or one realm. I think that you should, if the true gospel is being preached. This is just my opinion. You should be able to go or visit any church that the true gospel is being preached. It should not necessarily have to fall up under a denomination. He said, on this rock, I build my church. The church is the people. Yes. So and you know, and I know that, you know, if you have been in a church or was raised in the church under a particular denomination, you know, I know that there is separation in it. You know, Baptist, Catholic, Church of Christ, Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal, Presbyterian. I mean, you know, CME. I know that all of that is out there. But I believe he said, on this rock I build my church, and my church is of Christ. And that doesn't have anything to do with a denomination. It's not denomination. So, you know, and if you can't go to another denominational church, if the true gospel is being preached, then I don't know what to say about that. Is that really the Russell something? Yeah, that's him. Yeah, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem with it being Russell? I'm not here because of him. So why would I, you know, I mean, I'm not here because of Russell. What's the problem with Russell? Help me understand, because that's to me, that's a deflection. I'm here because of Candace and her interview. What's up with Russell? So I can understand, because y'all keep asking me that, and to me that don't matter. So what am I missing, y'all? Well, the other day I showed y'all him, and I said his shirt was open and I didn't like it, and nobody asked me was it him then? Yeah, I mean, I said, I showed this guy the other day. I said, why is his shirt open? And I had it right on him so everybody can see him, and nobody asked me was it him. Hey, Nana. Yeah. And then you gonna ask me, did I miss it? I mean, I showed him the other day. I'm good. I'm waiting for people to tell me what the big deal is that they have stopped me to ask me, was this Russell? Or what's the big deal with him? What's the 411? What do I not know?
There's almost endlessly and infinitely now. And what like my feeling is like the figure of Christ while he was not. Oh, am I going to get a phone call? You know, because this world seems, and I'm scheduled to do one in a couple of weeks, and obviously I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if, like, you know, if we put out this content and this content does well, am I going to get a phone call? You know, because this world seems like it fragments and fractures almost endlessly and infinitely now. And what like my feeling is like the figure of Christ, while he was not the militaristic lineage of David, Messiah anticipated by the Pharisaic class, plainly it says in Old Testament scripture, government on his shoulders. And when you say, you know, give to Caesar what is Caesar, have the material, have that stuff. But the real kingdom, the kingdom that you have access to, that is the supreme kingdom. And as soon as you make that claim, I think what flows out of that is personal sovereignty under God, community sovereignty under God, family sovereignty under God. Why should we have centralized systems of control and power that don't like us, that lie to us, that blackmail and manipulate us, and even the leaders that they claim are authentic are actually compromised individuals with compromised goals, and maybe even diabolical and demonic goals, to the earlier part of our conversation. And so look, with Turning Point, like what I wonder in all earnestness is that something seismic happened that's extraordinary, and it would be difficult in the light of history and in the light of events since the death of Charlie to suggest, oh, what it was is some nutty kid who was trans just went, do you know what, like, do you know one of the things I saw is, in addition to your content, I just saw some kind of military vet breaking down and putting together one of those guns and putting it in, he goes, there's no way.
Yeah, it's
like,
just it's the common sense element too. It's so offensive.
Yeah. And then when you find yourself and you think, oh my God, am I once again believing that, me, no, because like the reason I've not been vaccinated is because by the time that pandemic came around I was, oh yeah, that's the government, don't trust them.
Right, exactly.
Right, so like, the first thing you're told, dismiss that out of hand as total bullshit. So like, yeah, but like what I'm trying, because I suppose, of my own attachments, my own fears probably, I'm like, well maybe, like, because also, by the way, sometimes, Candace, but this doesn't stop it being possible. Sometimes the claim is so big that it's like, oh fuck it. Like, see with like, the example, because I suppose the reason I keep referring to it is because I know more about it, and it was probably the pivotal moment in my own sense of, oh wow, I'm in the middle, I'm being attacked, is COVID. Like that, you can't ever have the reckoning for the pandemic period that's warranted, because if you did, you'd have to say, they were lying to us about those vaccines. They were lying about the lockdowns. They were lying about the masks. They were involved in the creation of the actual disease and stuff. Like, if that's even the truest version of it, there might be even worse versions of it than that. The person that you put at the centre of it, Tony Fauci, is involved in its construction. Right. Now, it's so bad. It's like, if you would go, right, okay, well, let's work it out then. It's the same as any of the big ones, 9/11, JFK, whatever.
That's that's what I'm saying. It's all the same thing. Right?
Wow.
It's all the same thing. The people that are orchestrating the thing are then telling you that you need to run to them for the solution to the thing that happened.
Wow.
And I just cannot get on board with USA Faith. I can't do it.
And I suppose the thing is with any of the other examples, aside from Charlie Kirk at the moment, but is like that if you were to give it the attention that it deserved and the justice warranted, say with JFK, murder, COVID and what happened, you'd have to dismantle all these institutions.
There'd be a revolution, literally a revolution against all of the elites. And that's why they can't address that thing. That is why we are not getting answers, a straight answer from the West. I just said the French Foreign Legion was on the ground on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They refused to answer that question.
Were they?
Of course they do.
When you started talking about the planes and that, and the Egypt airplanes and all that stuff.
That was what gave me the clue, because I'm tuned into the fact that Twitter is owned by the military, like they're military bots, literally. So the overreaction to me mentioning the planes, and maybe look into them further. I was like, oh, Egyptian plane was like on the ground that day, and it was like the most they like did a fake debunking. They were like, because I got the time zone wrong, like I was off by 2 hours or something, and they were like, this has been debunked, she's an idiot. But they boosted this account that had like one follower to make it a trend, and I was like, okay, that's a government response to these Egyptian planes. I need to look more into it. And where it's led to me now, I'm like, my goodness. And someone just announced today that the Saudi prince was on one of those planes 3 years ago. So this is a very powerful person that was on these planes.
From flight logs, they can go, that plane's legit, look, this plane is that. These things are all trackable.
Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? Because I suppose there are, now whether or not a cultist energy is its core, there is human agency continually. So there always will be error. And the problem of a sort of dislocated from centralized systems communicator like you is that if you actually, because I've never done that, I've never done what you do, I've never gone, I want to fucking well look at the flight logs, you know?
I love that stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing, because then you're actually doing legit journalism and research. But
also the broader spiritual point is what I love too.
Tell me.
AI is just a robot, but who this human. Yeah, the human wins, right? And that's the point. When they plan these things, it's too robotic. And this gets to the point where I say about like everyone on stage.
An Egyptian plane,
it's like this is like ChatGPT Christianity. Actually, this is not real Christianity. Real Christianity you're like human. You got to contend. You got to do these things. And when I listen to Charlie's pastors, or however many he's had, and I'm speaking, I'm like, this is like Chat GPT. This is not real Christianity. We're broken. We are so broken.
But don't you think sometimes like real Christianity is like terrifying?
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying.
It is.
But now to your point, it could be specifically as a Roman Catholic. When I was last in Rome, I looked at these Caravaggios, and I think it's called the Cathedral Light. You know, all them churches have got amazing paint. But then I looked into it, and like Caravaggio was, you know.
Brenda, who you talking about? He's not the topic. I mean, is he a PDFer? Is he a part of? I mean, I'm trying to understand. What difference does it make?
No, he was like that's where he was. His patronage. He was commissioned to do that art. It's not like they bought it later. Like, you know, they went, Caravaggio, can you do St. Matthew being anointed and appointed? Can you do him right in the gospel? And can you do his?
I need for y'all to get my likes
like,
up. You know, cause this, you know, I mean, y'all all off topic. Y'all paying more attention than him, than listening to what she talking about, and my likes ain't where they need to be. So double tap the face of your screen and get the likes up, please. A lot of people got a lot of problems, but right now we're talking about, was he a part of the assassination? Is he a part of Turning Point USA? Is he a part of the PDF elite? I mean, what are we talking about? Trump got a lot of problems. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, why are you deviating and you're a guest and my likes ain't up? I'm not feeling that. I'm just not. Come back another day. Stay on topic. Anybody else I need to remove for today? Anybody else? Let me know that you want to talk about something else. Let me know, and you can come back another day. But today, right now, we're going to talk about this. And if that's not what you want to talk about, let me know. I'll help you out. Get my likes up. Let me know.
It's not
I can't even show the man. I don't even want to show him now.
Matthew being anointed, like, you know, it's just like he's among the other tax collectors, and there's a sort of the finger of the Lord, and he's like, oh no, what do you mean him, don't you? And like then the next one's him writing the gospel, and then the next one's him having all his skin cut off, and you're like, oh shit. No wonder in the first picture he's like, yeah, I might not get involved in this actually.
Right.
But I was like 10 minutes, Candace, from the Vatican. And then I go to the Vatican, as I, you know, like, I love the Vatican, I love the place, and I love Catholicism, I love the Mother, I love the saints, I love the Rosary, I love it. Like, but this is the thought that came, and I've not had a chance to put this in front of someone like you before. Is like, if that thing, the Vatican, was connected to what that dude was feeling, like St. Matthew there, this would be like a terrorist organisation. This would be like, right, we're going out. Like, because if you're a Christian, you are against society. You're opposed. You know that the devil runs it, and you're in a war with them. So if you go there and you're buying trinkets and bracelets, as I did, and, you know, a lovely crucifix and stuff, you know, this thing, you know, and I respect, obviously, and honor your faith and the particularities of your faith. But I suppose, you know, the same way that you would say that some pastors in little churches are cheesy, and I agree. And in the UK, it's very dry, Anglicanism. But there's beauty in mystery, and I've met some amazing British Christians, obviously. And, like, you know, among them, your Father Julian there. Although I've just texted you that dude. Father, excuse me, I mean to be respectful. I suppose because the Catholic Church has been so wedded to and has moved so much through power, do you feel that the same level of inquiry that you're...
Well, I just spoke to you about. I mean, I said the Frankists came into the church. I mean, do I think that priests are above sinning? That there aren't dirty priests and things that...
Yeah, they're dirty
constantly
priests.
I'm in inquiry, you know? And to be a human means that you are flawed. And so I'm still very much a student in Catholicism. This is why I don't use my platform to pretend that I'm which I really don't like when all of these people are making Christianity their brand. Like, what authority do you have to tell people if you're a student, you know? And you can be a student out loud, but I choose not to because there's so much more that I have to learn. And when I seek answers to questions that I come about, I go to my husband, and there are some times where he says, I don't know what the answer to that is. You need to consult a priest, right? There will be some, like, you know, IVF thing. Like, I had a friend who, I mean, she had like 8 miscarriages, and then she turned to IVF, and we've been friends with her forever. And genuinely, I am against IVF. I know why it's demonic. I know why it's wrong. But genuinely, I was happy for her. You know what I mean? And how do you contend with that? Like, how do I, like, and I felt that happiness, and I texted her, I said, I'm so happy for you, and I meant that, right? But, like, I shouldn't be happy. I'm not happy that IVF exists, actually, and that's a very weird spiritual. So I'm like you. I'm inquired. I don't know the answers, but I know they don't have the answers.
What about same-sex people? Like, you know, like same,
No,
like...
never. Anti. Not okay.
But what if they love each other and they're just living with each other and it's not about sex?
Be best friends.
Yeah, but what?
You can be best.
Yeah, see, but Candace, but you're not God, and their sins is unto God. Their sins are not unto you. See, now that's where I would have a problem with Candace. Yeah, you know, you're judging the sin of people when God said that he didn't come to condemn, and you're a condemner. And I would have a problem with that. Just show love to the people and let God do what God is going to do. You are not God, and that don't have anything to do with no denomination. But that's an issue with her. Yeah, she wants to judge the sin and the sinner. You can judge the sin, but you cannot judge the sinner. And I say you can judge the sin only because that will be the fruit on the tree. When it says you can judge the tree by its fruit. You can judge the sin, but you cannot judge the sinner. And if someone is partaking in sin, that is between that person and God. Because although you have accepted Christ, you accepted Christ because of grace, not because you were clean or not because you were holy. The acceptance of him make you holy. And they may not teach that where she's at, but she needs to understand that, because she is she really sounds more Pentecostal than anything, because she is a condemner. She's firing brimstone, and that's not her job.
But what about, like, all right, fair enough. But what about, I'm thinking that went from my first go round the Bible, but what it's, you know, of course there are clear, explicit decrees of same sex, but it seems also that what
I
it's
don't
really
believe
saying
that. I don't think I created myself. I don't think we created ourselves. I think that God is God all by himself. He don't need nobody's help. We are not gods. Not in that sense. Now, it's okay if you want to call yourself a god, that's cool. But you did not create yourself. Nope. There's nothing that you can say that's going to make me believe that. And we have a responsibility. So when I hear people talking about we gods, that means that they don't want to submit to a standard. They don't want to be under submissive unto anything other than themselves. When they say I'm God, that means that you are the creator of you. Everything that happens, it happens because of you. You make it happen. And that's just not true. Because if we was all gods, we would all be rich. There would be nobody hungry. There would be nobody poor. There would be nobody that had not a bad day. If we had that type of power. So yeah, no, I can't agree with that. You don't have that type of power. And you may think you do, and that's cool to think that. But no, you don't have that type of power. You cannot create the heaven and earth. Nope. You didn't create the animals. You didn't create the sky and the stars. Yeah, you just didn't do that. And if you think you did, hey, carry on. But I don't believe that.
Don't fuck around just for pleasure. So, which I lived in that. I lived in fucking around for pleasure. Because it's self-worship. It's self-worship. I just wonder, because I've met good Christian gay people.
My creative director is like he's brilliant. He's fascinating to speak to about the topic, because he believes first off he says he believes that like 93% of gay people are not born gay. He's like, it's obviously cultural. They're doing it because it's fun. They're like, it's like 60s culture. They're on drugs, whatever. And he's like, he's like, I was not born gay. I have daddy issues. I grew, like, my father wasn't in my life, and it manifested as like this. So that's why the Catholic Church does.
I'm funny about that too, but I know that's between that person and God. But now that I am hearing with all of this manipulation with medicines and food and stuff, that some of the stuff that they are injecting in foods and spraying from the air, they are manipulating the hormonal stuff that they are putting and injecting to throw the hormones off, or injecting female hormones into men, and vice versa, on purpose, to slow down the population. So it's a lot of tainting, I guess Gates think he God. I guess Fauci think he God. So this is what happens when people think they God. They start acting like they are. So now some of the attractions have been intentionally entered into people's bodies because they're trusting in the doctors who have been bought and paid for with a price to alter things. So let's just say that is happening. So do people really have a choice? Hell, they didn't even know that they was being injected with, a man was being injected with female hormones. They didn't choose that. But we don't want to take that in, because that's new. This is new stuff. This is unfamiliar. That's the whole thing. They've been lying in people's face for a long time. And so now that I know that, right, I can't not factor that in and act like that's not a possibility. and just want to judge somebody for being. And when people say, I don't know where it came from, that, you know, now I believe that that may be true. Now, do I think that people can be born that way? I think that that is a possibility. For one, there is a such thing as a hermaphrodite. And two, I've said this before, I believe that everything, every sin up under the sun was created. It was born. All sin was born when the skin of the forbidden fruit was broken. All sin was born. And if you were born with a sin seed in you, could you be born that way? Yes, you could. Yes, you could. But again, I'm going to say your sin is between you and that person and God. It's not, you know, we got to grow up and we have to change the way we look at it before we find ourselves in trouble with God trying to condemn people. When God said, I came to save the world and not condemn it. So if he didn't come to condemn the world and their sins, then who are we? That's a heart condition that Candace has. Okay?
Since you're not gay as a permanent state, Milo and I had a conversation about this recently. He's like, something happened to him. This is a reaction to what happened to him in his youth. And that's why the Catholic Church teaching is they call it same-sex attraction. To think of it as like being an alcoholic. You know, you weren't born an alcoholic, you know, but you're an alcoholic. You're addicted to.
Yeah, but you have to know that. See, so we're just finding this out now because of everything that's going on. I had never heard that before, Nana. So why would a man get his hormones levels checked? That's not something that's normal. Hell, and that costs extra with your insurance. That's not a normal process, and that's not a normal way of thinking. And had it not been introduced as some of their manipulation, that's the furthest thing from your mind. I mean, we got to keep it real. We're not just throwing answers out there. They have been doing things that we knew nothing about. That's why a lot of y'all got that shot. A lot of people believe, oh, when they said they got it, so it must be, they said we got to get it. We got to get it. They was offering people money to get it. I mean, oh, Lord. I know a lot of people got it. And now a lot of people are sick. Did y'all get that shot tested before you took it? No, you didn't. You asked them what was in it. They couldn't tell you, but you still put it in your arm or butt or wherever anyway. So we're not going to act like we just going to get everything tested. That's not normal. No. I've never had a hormone test check. I've never asked any doctor in all my life to check my hormone levels. Never. Never. And I'm just keeping it real.
And not to think of this as like a mainstay, like you're just born this way. They did that intentionally. And but he says for the people, very minor people, he was like whether nothing happened to them, he's like, nothing, like truly from the time that they were young, they had same-sex attraction. He believes that those people were born with like equipped with an ability to like give more to like.
Yeah, and you know, I guess that's a parent needs to decide, but I don't, you know, that's kind of like when parents wait to let their child decide if they're gonna be circumcised or not. I mean, yeah, like right. I mean, how many people really, as an adult, go back and put themselves under that pain? They don't. I mean, some may, but I don't know that that happens a lot. So now they looking crazy, and people, females, a lot of times sitting back, making it like, ooh, wait, what's that? What's that? I mean, then you start hearing these rumors, oh, that it ain't clean. They not. I mean, come on. So, what is the chances of a grown ass man going up under a knife to have the skin pulled back? I'm just saying, my point to this is that if you were born, can a person be born that way? And there are cases when babies are born with both. And they don't know anything about how they feel or what they're attracted to. They just a baby.
The creativity in church. So he's like purchased some really old like Italian monastery, and like he pours his like life into art and creativity. It's like it's kind of talking to him about same-sex attraction is fascinating.
Yeah, because why should the summit of your identity and your purpose be that? I mean, I do remember as a heterosexual, promiscuous person, there were times where I like slept with people, and I was like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, it's just because you sort of can.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wonder, is that okay to be sexually active and not be married, Candace? See, this is the problem when you want to condemn the sins that you don't do. Just because you're not sexually attracted to the same person, that sin is no bigger than you having sex and not being married. So, because he was a hoe, is what he's saying. But that was okay, as long as he was that with a female. Yeah, no, you need to check that. That's a heart condition.
Like, sort of like, so like it's not like there were people that I could have just been friends with. I could have just been friends with them, and like, but just because that was what I was doing, and other times
doing this thing,
there's that thing I do.
Right.
But you can't, and it's of course it's in the body. It's in the body. But if you've got, I suppose, keep it in its proper place. I guess I hear what you're saying, and just like I think in a way it all comes down to false idolatry, and false idolatry begins in self. Mm-hmm. And I suppose the Christian thing for me, I'm working this out genuinely, it's not a question, it's an inquiry, live inquiry, is like that if my position is non-judgment, like because, like in the same way vengeance is mine, vengeance belongs to the Lord, judgment belongs to the Lord, like then I can be like with you and your friend with the IVF, even though I know spiritually and scripturally and in the absolute truth this is sinful. I'm not an agent of that until people go to me, well, what does it say in there and how should I deal with it? And we're all giving out, like, quite plainly what God wants for you, like as they say, God's will is what's fucking happening. What God's will is for you is get out and tell the truth and be willing to get in those places. But the only thing I would, because I'm here, because I'm the one that's in this chair, is I'd say, be careful with the pace, Candace, be careful with the pace, and be careful of letting it accumulate. Be careful of letting it accumulate, because there is going to be
I don't know what IVF is.
There's going to be a coming together. There has to be a coming together for his church. There has to be a coming together. And I'm not telling you anything. You're doing great without me. You don't need, because when people tell me stuff, I'm like, well, guess what? Guess who's the one that God put here? Me, and He put you there. So, but I'm just saying.
My perspective.
So
I'd like to hear your thoughts.
It's like I want you to be careful about making enemies.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. It's hard. And it's hard because it's like when you commit yourself to truth, of course you have enemies. Christianity is controversial. It is. Yeah. True Christianity is controversial.
Because it's not natural.
And so it's hard because I don't know how to. I mean, this is the thing I almost
it's
say
not
it's like
natural.
I was born with this disorder, honestly. I was born this way. I don't know how to not say the truth. It's like it's like always been chronic for me. I'm like to adults. I just say the thing, and I don't understand this planet because I'm like, why is this not fine? Why can't we just say the truth? Because it creates serious enemies. That's the reality. Truth, Christ is a, the truth is dealt with in this way. It is a lot, yeah.
We have to bring love and forgiveness to it. You have to identify where the deficiency is. See, then, like, born this way, you and your capacity, ability, tendency, and almost pathology, to tell the truth, although that's a psychiatric word. But gay people's sexuality, you're saying to them, well, they'll go, oh, I'm born this way, and some people say, well, it's because of this event or this trauma or this or that, but many gay people would say, this is just how I am. It's just how I am. And so I suppose the only way for us to navigate this space is to ensure. I watched Ben Shapiro one time, right? With like, he was in one of them things where it looked like.
Yeah, I need for y'all to double tap the face of your phone.
And he was going, well, he goes, is it true that you have said that homosexuality is wrong? And he sort of went, what, do I, as an Orthodox Jew, believe that homosexuality? Yeah, I do. It's my religion. And I was sort of like, the first time I sort of went bad, I was like, wow, I really like that I'm a religious person now, because now, like, when I'm raising my 2 daughters, and maybe more by your grace, Lord, and my son, look, what I'll be saying to them is, yeah, we're Christian, and we don't have sex unless you're married to the person. That's what we do. So you see these people that are coming around for a date, you make sure they fucking understand that. Like, I'm glad that I've got that. I'm glad that that's how I'm raising my family. I'm not in charge. It's in the book, man. What can I tell you?
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love you.
I dig that. I dig that. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm sure for people who have a issue with IVF, it's because that God did not, it wasn't God's chosen. They chose it for themselves. And but if I'm gonna if I'm gonna examine it, what's the difference in people getting boob jobs and butt jobs or whatever that mess is? They want what God didn't provide them with, so they go find they have made way for you to do it anyway. So what makes it bad is that was not how God planned it. That would be my opinion to that. There are a lot of going about it in a different way to get what you want versus accepted what God wanted for you. Candace has a problem with God. Then I don't know that she has a problem with God like that. I just think that in our spiritual growth, we have to accept the fact that we can't judge other people's sins and not judge our own. We all are sinful. There is no one on earth who don't sin. And a lot of times there are people who think that they made themselves clean, holy. So this is why I don't buy into the we are God stuff. No, she didn't make herself holy. No one stirred up righteousness within their own self, because they will brag. They will act like they are holy. Thou art holy. I'm saved. I don't do none of that. I don't do this. I don't do that. I don't do this. I don't do that. No. Everybody on this earth has a sin seed. We were born into sin. We are all sinful. We will sin and fall short until we leave this earth. Sin cannot enter into heaven. We have to die. Christ came to save the world for eternity, but we have to die before we are called up into heaven, because there is no place for sin in heaven. So we all sin and we all fall short. And that's why some Jews are not entitled to the inheritance, because they don't believe in Christ, which is why they are rewriting the Bible to make themselves inherit it themselves. Let me get to this other one. Y'all, I need for y'all to double tap the face of your phone. Please, 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 please don't have me to keep saying that again and again and again. Now, if you don't want to be here, just please leave. Just please leave. I'm okay with that. I promise I am. But please don't have me keep repeating the same thing over and over and over about double tapping the face of your phone, your device that you're listening on, or hitting the three dots at the top. I just shouldn't have to go through that all the time.
Your security detail. And he said, I have.
Are you researching dental implants?
There's a lot of dental offices that'll talk about doing their teeth in a day process. A lot of
Can I get y'all to double tap? Can y'all, let me change this. Double tap the face of your screen on your phone. 2 times is free. Maybe if I put myself up there and y'all tap me on my nose, y'all feel like y'all getting me back. But double tap the face. I hit the 3 dots at the top. Let's go. I'm an hour and 2 minutes in.
Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for tuning in extra early on this special live stream. And it's a special live stream because we have the one and only Candace Owens with us. Hi Candace, how are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted to jump on here to just ask you, have you not made your mandated anti-Candace videos? Because I was realizing that your show wasn't doing that. So I just wanted to see what was going wrong. You know, I didn't want to send people over to see what was happening on this show, since every other commentator in the world has done some anti-Candace content. So
Thank
I'm
you,
here to
Miss
help you do
Tom,
that.
Well,
for the
yeah, I
makeup
mean, we have a
brushes.
couple in the can. I'm
And
just waiting for
the other ones that I
go-ahead
think I
from
missed.
Benjamin Netanyahu. I haven't gotten it yet. And I'm waiting for at least one
Thank you.
$7,000 check. I haven't gotten that either. So, but when that
Natural and
happens,
Nolans for
Stephen,
the
you're
thumbs
going right
up.
under the bus. And,
Okay, great. I wanted to make
And
sure.
Janet for the
because you are a
flowers.
scumbag. And
Demonic, evil, scumbag.
I guess my first question would be, why don't you care about the midterms? Wait,
You
no.
can't even, you cannot make it up. You cannot make up the commentary. Tim Pool was just really something. It's like, why are Republicans focused on public executions of Republicans? I don't understand. Don't you understand that your job is to vote and to make sure the same people that are engaged in covering up and selling you absolute crap about what happened on that day still need to be in office?
Well, let me ask you, I've heard you mention the Mockingbird media, and it is kind of amazing. Like during COVID, I did not expect the people who I knew who were lefties, who their entire life called Big Pharma a criminal murderous cartel organization, the people who never trusted the government, who knew that the FDA and the CDC were regulatory captured, and it completely flipped during COVID and became mouthpieces for big pharma and the establishment and murderous people like Dr. Fauci, and especially what he did during the AIDS crisis. Nobody even knows about that. But so how shocked were you? Did you see this coming? How shocked were you that there would be this significant amount of conservative media who would completely flip on their ethos and now start to believe the FBI and their BS story and repeat establishment talking points and try to shame someone who's asking legitimate, logical questions? I had that happen to me during Seth Rich. The same thing happened with Seth Rich. They use the sympathies of the family. They're like, oh, it's hurting the family if you even talk about this. I'm like, they showed John F. Kennedy's head getting blown off for 60 years in a row on television. Nobody ever said, what about his family? Nobody ever said. So, and anyway, so I guess there's like 3 questions in there, but my first one is, how did you see this coming, that there would be this mockingbird conservative media, and how shocked were you?
When my doctor said I needed to eat healthier for my high blood pressure, I was at a loss until I found Hungry Root. Hungry Root makes it so...
I think I was shocked first and foremost because Charlie was publicly executed, right? And so typically when I'm doing commentary, it's about someone I don't know, right? I'm removed from the subject, so I don't have to go through a personal grieving process. So there were so many layers of my shock at the actual event, then the shock at how swiftly the people closest to him lied about where he was at in his perspective. So I couldn't even process why that was happening, while also trying to understand suddenly why Susie Wiles is eulogizing him. What's this about? I don't understand. And so for me to come back and be able to process all of this, I had to go away, and I just went up to the mountains and just spent time with no tech and just kind of breathed in some air and was like, okay, this is really happening. This is going to be a fight like never before. And I was shocked at the people who pretended to be his friends. I mean, it was like upside down land. It was people that tried to stop Charlie from rising, suddenly stepping in and saying, this is what we have to do. This is what his legacy is. And so I haven't stopped being shocked, as every week there's a new, and the instant fight, the instant war they launched on me was bizarre. I mean, within 48 hours, I mean, maybe 72 hours, I eulogized him. I, said, oh, last message talking about Catholicism. Suddenly there was Operation Mockingbird saying this is completely untrue. Charlie never thought about Catholicism. He was a Judeo-Christian to the day he died, an evangelical, whatever it is. And I was just trying to process, okay, why even lie about the small stuff? So that's when I recognized immediately that there was a conspiracy here, because there is no reason. Of course, I was shocked by Bibi Netanyahu coming out right away and saying I didn't kill him. That totally makes you look not guilty. I don't know if you felt, Jimmy, that right after Charlie died, did you think, I better get on air and say I didn't kill him? Nobody felt the need to do that, but Bibi Netanyahu did. And once that happened, I realized that it was going to be a fight against Zionists, full stop. I think I realized that was, this was going to be a fight against Zionists because they wanted the ghost of Charlie Kirk. They were like, this is our ghost and we need to direct it so that there's energy behind Zionism and Israel. And that's why this fight, I think, has been so especially nasty.
And so I just want to play just 2 quick clips of Charlie Kirk.
Sure.
To kind of show how he thought, and we'll come back and get your comment.
Again, I think the best reading of what happened there is who wanted JFK dead the most. Again, a lot of people said Israel wanted JFK dead. I'd love to hear that argument. But definitely Lyndon Baines Johnson and parts of our own government, and the Cubans wanted him dead. And who actually made it happen? There were 15 or 20 things that happened that day that were inexcusable. They changed the parade route. He rode in an open-air convertible. LBJ decided not to ride alongside of him. The vehicle slowed down right when it went by the Texas School Book Depository. A lot there, right? And then again, I think that all of us are smarter to believe that it was simply Lee Harvey Oswald. The more important question is not, oh, who did it? We have to first acknowledge it, that more than one person did it. Once we acknowledge that more than one person did it, then we can expose our government to have lied to us about the JFK assassination, which then I think will sober a lot of us about trusting the government in the future.
So this goes back to my original point on how the people who are coming at you and the people who have just completely flipped their ethos of you don't trust the government, of course, and they don't want to admit that there was some kind of there was more than one person involved in this, and it's obvious that there was more than one person involved in this. And let me play this real quick, and then we'll throw to you.
Because I learned during COVID. I learned when they told us that it came from a bat in the Himalayas. I learned when they told us the vaccine was safe and effective. I learned when they told us that ivermectin was horse paste, that you better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free. Thank you so much.
Get the lights up.
And so it's just amazing to me how these again, it's just shocking to me how they could flip their whole MO. And do you what do you think the fallout of this would be? Because people see this, right? And most people are going along with it. The PVD did his poll. He's very pro-Israel on his show, and even the people who follow him, 70% of those people overwhelmingly agreed with you. So what do you? I still don't. Do you think this is the long arm of Zionism? That's
Yeah, I do. And it's very clear where that line is being drawn. Find somebody who has, ignored Gaza being bombed. Find somebody who will call Candace a demon, but has never once called Bibi Netanyahu a demon, and you will find that same person trying to protect the Charlie Kirk narrative. It didn't make sense. I mean, within 48 hours, they were like, no questions. It didn't make any sense, and that is why people find it to be suspicious. And I've said over and over again, even if you accept to some degree that if you truly believed, okay, I think Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger, you could not say that you were certain that nobody else was involved, because we haven't been told anything. You can't say that what happened on that day is very obvious and clear. And this is the rhetoric that they're using. I don't think there's ever been a situation where things are less clear, and they are using the exact same psychological tactics that they used during BLM to shut down an inquiry about the George Floyd thing. I mean, that was kind of my first video that went globally viral, was when I poked holes in the George Floyd story, and I was like, hey guys, did you even know this about George Floyd? There's more information here. Those people who supported me during the George Floyd thing would have never said, well, there's no evidence. Just because he did fentanyl his entire life doesn't mean that this has anything to do with this day. It's like, no, these are actually all relevant to building a narrative and to asking questions. Like, this is what it means to embark on scientific investigation. You don't know where it's going to lead, but of course you have to go through the process of asking questions. Well, no, the BLM side criminalized asking questions. If I said, well, maybe, and I did, where's all this money going to? Oh, how dare you? George Floyd died. You're ruining the legacy. It's racism. They're literally doing these exact same tactics. COVID, how dare you? Grandma's gonna die. Trust the experts. I mean, I was going through, Glenn Beck interviewed Erika Kirk yesterday or the day before, and to hear this part of the conversation, which was so elitist, where Glenn is saying basically people don't understand how the law works. How are you not aware of yourself and how much you sound like Dr. Fauci, like trust the experts? Okay, I'm gonna just like put a thing on my sign and just say, you know how they do, thank you, Dr. Fauci, the signs on the lawn. Thank you, Dr. Patel, Dr. Prakash Patel. We don't understand. We can't possibly understand common sense. Like, it's so crappy. And the reality is that Turning Point USA wasn't built on this idea of experts and elitism, and it won't survive if it keeps continuing down this path.
So I just want to read one more. This is a tweet that Charlie tweeted out on November 22nd, 2023. Or maybe it doesn't matter. So he says,
Yeah, you're right.
60 years ago today, JFK was murdered in broad daylight, a moment that would alter the trajectory of American history and shatter the public's trust in the federal government. Today, the same intel agencies whose fingerprints are all over JFK's assassination are more unaccountable and more weaponized than ever. But now they have vast technological powers, from universal surveillance to the new tool of AI. And when you take on the military-industrial complex and,
Wow.
and the police state, don't be surprised when those in power call for you to be eliminated. 11/22/63 should be a day that reminds us that power must be returned to we the people, the sovereign, and America's intel agencies must be brought to heel. And again,
Wow.
so all these people who have zero questions about the FBI narrative are the ones who are betraying Charlie Kirk's ethos, his MO, and his legacy. And it's disgusting. Not one question. I've said this about a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there with zero questions that are just obvious. So I just wanted to, I just don't see how these people can flip everything they've thought their whole entire careers, public careers, and go against Charlie's legacy. Those two videos and this tweet, they're just complete betrayals. And how they think people who like Charlie Kirk in the first place would ever flip their thinking and betray him like that. It doesn't make sense. And so let me just ask, where do you see the fallout coming from the Mockingbird media? Do you see them losing all credibility? Because I do.
Yeah, they've already lost all credibility. That's why they're fighting me so hard, is because, and what makes me so happy about them losing, because they are losing right now, right? And every morning I wake up and there's something new. They're just making things up out of thin air now. I can't even respond to the things that I'm being attacked over. It's just a full assault. And it's because despite the fact that they had me fired, banned from countries, literally, I can't get into Australia because I won't be a Zionist, right?
I was just there, and they were
sued by a sitting president, and I had to basically reroute my entire life. My husband and I had to build everything from scratch. They had Zionists, behind-the-scenes donors, make sure that I would not be allowed to eulogize Charlie Kirk. They had Eric Bolling go out and just lie and fictionalize and say Charlie and I hadn't spoken since 2019, despite how close we always were. And they then put themselves in his chair on his stage, we're his best friends, I'm his pastor. The people were able to see that none of that was authentic. So they had all the money, they had all the donors, they have CBS News, they have the mainstream media, they had all the power, but we had the truth. And truth is the only real power. And so it is a lesson for them, and it does make all of them look inauthentic. And I do believe that the majority of these people are motivated by money, right? They are getting paid. They had some stake in the ghost of Charlie Kirk, meaning, this person's going to take over his tour. So that's his touring contract, and this is a way for them to get their leg up, and they weren't as big before. We're going to put you in, as a Turning Point influencer. All these ways that, if they defend Turning Point USA, they're going to get paid. That's the overwhelming thing that's happening. Actually, I had people inside of Prager University send me, which I'm going to publish later, the list of all of the influencers that are on PragerU's payroll alone that are being paid to come after me, which is, I mean, like Graham Allen is quite literally one of these influencers. He has no substance, he has no soul. He's just, I'm going to attack Candace because I'm getting paid to. But it should satisfy us that they had all of the money and all of the quote unquote influence in the mainstream media, and yet the people would rather watch ballistic guys on YouTube that say, nah, this didn't happen. The hunters that are saying, nah, but this didn't happen, sorry. Because they know that that's true. Truth is resonating.
Well, I just want to bring this up because people keep saying that you're the one lying, even though you keep continuously catching other people in inexplicable lies about everything surrounding this event and Charlie Kirk's legacy. For instance, they were all trying to say that it wasn't true that Charlie had turned on the Greater Israel Project, and you said that you had text messages. They said it was a lie, and then you, of course, revealed them. Here's the Jewish donors play into all the worst stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And so when you produce, that's funny, you know, they tell you you're lying, and then you produce them, and then they go, well, why would you release private
text messages?
So you can't. They create this scenario where you can't win, no matter if you prove them to be liars. You shouldn't have done it. It was inappropriate. And if you don't prove them to be liars, then you're the one who's lying. And so I can't get over again that they think this is going to work. And so I just wanted to bring this up. Erika, Kirk. Now there's a new one where you have relayed information that Charlie Kirk told people the day before he was killed that he said they're going to kill me. And so Erika was asked about this by Glenn Beck. I miss how he used to cry all the time. I don't know why he doesn't do that anymore. I miss it. But he was my favorite crier.
Oh,
but
wow.
Here we go. Here's what she had to say about it.
I have unbelievable amounts of death threats. My kids have kidnapping threats, death threats. Our whole team has death threats. We knew that there was always going to be a threat, but Charlie and I all...
So, I just want to stop it for a second. This isn't the point of this video, but she kind of makes it sound like this is new. She's admitting right there, this is not new. This has been always. This has been... So, people, it sounds like they're trying to make it out like you are creating these death threats other people have.
Yeah.
And it's just, she's there admitting that we always knew, she said, and they always were receiving death threats. So it's not, I don't know why they bring it up, because it's not new. But anyway, here we go.
We promised each other we would never live in fear. And he would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me. But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered, they're coming after me, someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
Okay, well, the problem is we have Frank Turek saying that he did say that. So here, let me play that.
And so I texted him, I said, Charlie, I hope you've increased your security detail. And he said, I have. I know they want me dead. Now.
So, go ahead, take it where you would like on that, because here again, we have these people calling you a liar, and yet we have Frank Turek saying exactly, and then so they keep contradicting each other unwittingly, and that it indicates that someone's lying, and as you always point out, the only reason you would lie is to cover something up. So take it where you want.
Well, here's what I'm just going to tell the truth, okay? I did not see that she had said that when I did my show yesterday, and then I saw it after, and I can tell you 1000% that Andrew Colvett told me the night before Charlie was murdered that Charlie Kirk texted him and said, they are going to kill me. Andrew Colvett is the person who received a text message from Charlie Kirk saying they're going to kill me. And I'm not getting that third party. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. He asked me to keep it off record, and I would have kept it off record if Erika did not imply that I lied, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying she is saying Candace is lying. I am saying that since I was the one who put it out there, she's implying that I'm lying and that that's not true. So we have a scenario here where either Andrew Colvett has told an explicit lie, or Erika Kirk is telling an explicit lie. It's not up for me to determine who.
Hi, Nicole.
I didn't receive that text message, but yeah. And I also was told by a person at Turning Point USA, who I'm not going to name because they are one of my sources, that Dan Flood received the same message. So
that heavy, sluggish feeling after meals, it can be a sign.
Get the likes up, please,
your liver creates
so that I won't have to shut it down.
there you go. I don't know. I believe that she has his phone.
Double tap.
I
Hold
also
on.
I maybe.
Y'all double tap the face of your screen so that I'm go an hour and 25 minutes in. It's 634 people in. It's just a simple tap. 1, 2. It don't cost a thing. It's not a super chat. It's not a super sticker. It's just tapping your phone and get the likes up. And if you're on a computer, there's 3 dots at the top right. Just hit that. It'll take you to where you need to go. Thank you.
Somebody deleted it, but I don't know why Andrew Colvett, 48 hours after Charlie was dead, would lie to me. He did not sound like he was lying. He sounded very concerned about it, and I specifically said, like, who is they? Like, you know, like he said they're gonna kill me, and he said I don't know who he was talking about, and I thought it's kind of weird. Yeah, that's what I can tell you. I can just tell you the truth.
So
Thank you, Queen,
what do you think is in it
for the
for
thumbs up.
someone to deny that Charlie Kirk was saying that? I mean, what's in it?
'Cause
for
they're
what's in it
involved.
for Erika Kirk to deny that right now.
Is she denying it? Did Andrew make it up? Is Frank making it up? I don't know. But this is kind of the repeat problem that we have with Turning Point, is that somebody's lying, but we're also told how dare we notice the lies, right?
Yeah, don't
And
notice the
so
lie. Do not call out the
we're
lie.
constantly in this poll. Now, I was thinking that some of their lies were because they have a lot of Jewish money. And they're always like, oh, we only have a few Jewish donors. Yeah, but they're the big donors, right? So, like, it's like, hey, this person's got to be a $2 million check, like Bob Shillman was, and he's going to pull it away. That matters. So I don't know if that's what they're being motivated by. It never made sense to me why they didn't come out and instantly admit that Charlie was fighting with the pro-Israel cause and wrote that. They said he didn't. I dropped it, and then they tried to at first say he said it in jest, and then they kind of came clean and were like, yeah, he was under some pressure. It almost feels like I don't know. I don't want to assign motive. I don't want to say who I think is lying. I'm just saying that it's very obvious that somebody is lying. I mean, somebody is lying. So
was it Andrew Colvert who told you that you and Tucker Carlson were next?
yes,
And
he was
so
in the hospital, by the way. That was just a couple of hours after Charlie got shot. So that already even disputes the idea that it was a lone shooter and it was Tyler Robinson avenging, like, hey, okay, so who told you that? Who told you that? It had to have been a federal. It couldn't have just been like your friend. She's on a list. Like that's intel, right? That's not like you're here, you're getting updates from federal agents. He never explicitly said who it was, but he is the person who told me that.
and he still hasn't revealed who told him that.
No.
Okay, so again, these are all logical, legitimate questions, and people act like it's crazy. I mean, Glenn Beck intimated that there's mental illness involved with people asking
that was
these
horrible.
questions. He didn't
COVID-19, every single round of that BLM, they always have to then turn it into a pathology where they're like, actually, it's Machiavellian. And what's the favorite, the dark triad? That's their favorite one. They're like, it's narcissism and this and that is the reason you won't get the vaccine. And then somebody at CBS writes an article about how you're actually a psychopath because you won't mask your children. Like I said, we're just on a hamster wheel with this stuff. So, okay, I'm glad we're at the stage of it's a pathology, actually.
Now, I just want to show you another one of these, right? So this logical, people.
I
being
think there's a
caught
possibility
contradicting
that
each
she was
other, and
groomed,
so
but I've
somebody's
said that
lying.
before.
And here is the head of the security went on the CIA podcast, and here's what he was saying about the drone coverage, right? So people are like, how come you guys didn't have
A
drone
lot of
coverage?
lies
This
that
guy
they
says
don't
there
want.
wasn't.
And we start looking at things immediately, like, where are our risks? What's our risk assessment when we come in? That's why we get there. That's why we start doing the advance so early. We walk it, we build it ourselves.
And we forgot to have somebody looking at the roofs. That doesn't make any sense. We walk it, we do it, we build it ourselves, and then of course we leave all the roofs unattended, and nobody's even looking at it.
They
Although,
didn't even do a walkthrough that day.
Unless they the guys in the black.
really, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
So
I have that as a fact. They did not even do a walkthrough that day. The only thing the security requested on that day was easy access out, and they wanted the top, which is what that text message was referring to. It was actually not Losey Center. They wanted that top, like, walkway above Charlie cleared. They didn't want anybody above Charlie. And they also wanted to make sure that they insisted that Charlie was outdoor event. They were advised that's not a good idea. We can't control traffic flow. And Macy Crofts said to them, no, this is what Charlie prefers. And so Turning Point USA insisted upon him being outdoor despite being advised not to do that. And they did not do a walkthrough. And they arrived, I think, around 10. I have to check my notes on that, but I think just a couple of hours before Charlie arrived is when his security arrived. No walkthrough was done, and all they cared about and insisted upon was making sure that the cars were right behind, like they wanted easy exit out. So
again, this makes no sense. It just flies right off him that he's lying, right? That he's got that used car salesman, overly sincere about things that are inconsequential. So here, let's watch more. He starts to talk about the drones.
And so initially, I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year, and got guys last.
Who asked you how much money you spent on drones? No one's asking these questions. Again, you're too many words, over-explaining. Anyway, here we go.
But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it.
Okay.
That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school. But I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason.
Okay.
And so
all he had to do was fill out a request to fly a drone, and they could have, and now we know that. And so again, this is all garbage. But here we go. He's got more garbage coming.
now the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them, right? And then but Orem PD has a drone unit, active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome.
I think everybody knows the reputation of some Podunk police department in the middle of Utah is awesome. They're so awesome. They have no videotape of Tyler Robinson turning himself in. They are so awesome. They're so awesome that they didn't look at the roofs, right? Even though they said they were gonna. Nobody was watching that roof. Although people in the crowd saw him on the roof. And then just like in Butler, Pennsylvania, the cops, the Secret Service, the state police, everybody missed it. But the people in the audience, in the crowd, were screaming that there was a shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania. Same thing here. But the guys who are paid millions of dollars to make sure that that doesn't happen missed it. The awesome Orem Police Department missed it. And so again, he goes.
They get it.
They get it.
They were there. They helped both on the soft side and the hard side.
They just forgot to look at the roof. They forgot to seal the entrance and the access to the roof. That's how awesome they are.
And so I started asking questions like, "Do you guys have a drone unit?" Yeah, good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, "Yeah." I said, "Did they call you and ask for assistance?" No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call?
Why wouldn't you?
And then so, that's one. So I can't go in and break the law. I can't make my guys break the law. I can't go in and do something.
Okay, so that's so he's saying this is why he didn't have a drone. But then we listen to Frank Turek. Here's our guy again, and let's listen to what he says.
Anyway, on our way in, we had drone footage of the crowd building.
What?
And
yeah, who lying?
Charlie had it on his phone. I said, "Charlie, I don't like this place. There are too many buildings." Charlie just kind of brushed it off because, look, we have a security team, and he wasn't going to cancel an event. And as far as we knew, the university police.
So and there you go. So he's saying they're looking at the drone coverage on their way into the event that they were his team. So again, this is it's we would be derelict. You would be derelict in your job.
Yeah, too many lies, and then you get mad because
To
you're getting
not
caught
ask
in
this
them, and then
question:
you
who's
blaming
telling the truth here,
Candace.
and why is one of them lying? What are they covering up?
Right. Yep. It's exactly right. And that is why they are just sort of now in themselves in a late stage psychosis where they just think that they're going to convince us that it's not proper. Like there's impropriety in noticing all of these lies. How, I mean, let the family know. Do you not want the legacy of Charlie Kirk to survive? Do you not want Turning Point USA to survive? If Turning Point USA is going to become an organization that is almost the exact opposite of everything that Charlie represented, right? Charlie did not believe in establishment media. He did not believe that you should only speak to the New York Times and trust CBS News, and that you needed to be an official reporter or a lawyer to ask questions. No, I don't really care about whether or not Turning Point USA survives. The whole point of helping to build that organization was that it didn't want to become the RNC. Like Charlie thought that the RNC was stale, that all they cared about was wealthy donors, that they actually were not acting the part of a youth movement, that they didn't have their finger on the pulse of the people, and he was correct in that assessment. Now it's like we blinked, and that is what Turning Point USA is becoming. We're the authority because we're wealthy. We have money. We can get Barry Weiss to write an
Entitlement.
article about us. We're not. That's not going to pass. That doesn't work with us, and nothing they are saying makes sense. And pretending that it's because it would somehow diminish the case against Tyler Robinson again requires us to suspend our rationality. If something that we present ruins the case, then you didn't have a case to begin with. Like, oh, why did you show Jimmy? Why did you catch the other guy shooting Charlie? That's gonna ruin our case against Tyler Robinson. Okay, well then maybe Tyler Robinson is not acting alone by himself. If we find something along this way that can ruin your case.
So I just don't understand why you don't care about tainting the jury pool. Anyway. So
That's and it's so funny how their talking points are always at the same time. Like
Yes.
everyone's suddenly like, whoa, wait, what about the jury pool? And Glenn Beck asked that question. Are you concerned
about
tainting the jury pool? What a totally organic, non-scripted question. Because I'm sure that's the primary concern. If somebody even spoke to me about the jury pool or things of that nature after I watched my husband public extra, I'd be like, I don't care about anything. I would have so much fire for Kash Patel. I would be screaming at him for having, which he did that day, basically sending marshals on a wild goose chase and saying, we've got the guy, or they didn't have the guy. It was almost like he was just stalling to let somebody get away. So this idea that the proper thing to do is to tell the FBI, because they've never done anything wrong and they had nothing to do with JFK being murdered, is ridiculous. It actually makes us trust you least.
Yes.
It makes us trust you less. It's like, I would much rather trust people on the ground in Utah, which is what I have been doing, to tell me what happened that day, to give me their footage, than to accept that it must always just be given to the FBI. I mean, Terrell taking down the cameras. That was the first thing I knew was wrong. Terrell is never at student events, ever. Ever. Okay? I know these people. I worked with this organization. I asked Terrell, why were you there? You don't do student events. I'm talking about campus events, pardon. He said we were trying something new that day. Do you want to hear something funny? They tried something new that day, and that was the last day they did it, because Terrell since has not been at campus events. So it was just first time, last time, forever.
First and last
Well, of
time.
course, then they lied about that, right? So they said initially the reason why they took the SD cards out of the camera was the cops told them to, and then the cops said we didn't, and then they switched their story and said, well, people were stealing hats, so we were afraid they were going to steal the cameras, I guess, and that's.
And just the one behind his head, by the way. That's the one they were.
Yeah, you wouldn't just take the SD card; you'd take the whole camera. Why would you take?
Or like the giant. If you're going to steal, the harder camera to steal is the one that's actually wired in up there. If you're going to grab something off a table, there's a big camera right here. There's a camera over there. Like,
Right.
I'm just trying. If I want to do hood rest up with my friends, I'm not gonna like stand on a chair and try to unwire it. I'm just gonna grab the one that's right there. Nothing made sense. And by the way, Terrell didn't tell me that. Terrell himself never told me that. He told me that the reason that he took that footage was because he wanted to spare Erika having
Right.
to see her husband killed in 4K.
And she still saw it.
Come on.
And I said back to him, did you notice that we all watched him being killed in 4K? Like, you didn't spare, if that was your goal, you came short of it when it was live streamed and the entire world saw it. And then he sort of pivoted and said, well, I also wanted to make sure that I had secured it for the FBI. And I said, well, why that camera in particular? Because you didn't grab the other ones that swiftly. And
She was asking too
said
many
that,
questions.
and this was the part I still can't get clarity on, that the ops back home, and I said, what do you mean the ops back home? You don't have people back at Turning Point USA watching the live stream. And he said, oh, we were doing something new that day. And I asked him, okay, well, were the ops, you're saying, he said op back in Arizona. I said, so they were at Turning Point USA headquarters? And he said, no.
Well, where are the
that's the way it works,
ops?
Carol. So who are these ops that you spoke to and needed to grab the footage?
Who are the
We
ops?
can't get clarity on who the ops were.
My mom passed away before I got rich. My business had just started picking up, and I'm
Who are the ops?
like, well, Mom, like, I'm not.
So, do you feel? Oh, what is the most compelling piece of evidence to you that that the FBI story or the establishment story about what happened to Charlie is not true? What is the most compelling? For me, it's this. It's the fact that a 30-06 bullet would leave an exit wound like a drive-through, like at least 6 inches. So mostly it would probably blow
The
someone's
gun
head off,
wound.
certainly his neck. And here's Rob O'Neill. He was part of the SEAL team that went and got Bin Laden, and here's what he had to say about it.
It's a no.
We were told that he was like Superman. His body stopped a 30-06 bullet. His body was like Superman, made of like some sort of a superhuman metal. Or
Which
something like that.
which one?
What do you believe about that? If a 30-06
The one who saw the guy in the all black on the.
Well, it's going to blow his head off, probably. It's going to be a big
And we
mess.
saw him
But then You're
too.
going to find remnants of the bullet. I don't think they've even found it yet. Why was the chair and the desk moved when you can get a forensic expert in there and find out exactly where the shot was fired from? I'm just asking these questions. If they can be refuted, fine. And if you tell me the answer, great. I'll stop asking that. We're not getting any answers. Except, this is what happened. Shut up. Be a good worker.
Shut up. You're an anti-Semite, and when the trial happens, you'll look like a fool.
That's it.
So, to me, that's the most compelling thing, that this is a concocted story by the establishment. And so there's a guy who knows something about it. He shot a lot of people. So what's the most compelling piece of evidence for you?
Well, I will say, Jimmy, I am disappointed that you didn't like Popeye the Sailor Man when you grew up. You can eat a lot of spinach and grow up to be able to stop bullets. And I want to encourage everybody at home to eat your vegetables, because that you can 3,000 pounds of energy coming at you, you will be able to stop.
Stop it.
So I'm disappointed in that guy, because who's he? What does he know about guns, you know? And what's amazing is they're trying to do this thing where they're like, whoa, I spoke to some experts said it maybe could have happened. Show me the example. There's a lot of people being shot all around the world, okay? Show me the example of a person who got shot in the neck with a 30-06 or even something of a similar caliber, and that not only, and I want you to focus on this, not only did the bullet not go through, okay, there was no blood splatter on the back of his shirt when he went down. Okay,
No blood.
Not only that, I've also said this, which should be, even if you said this was some miracle that it stops, we can all agree the front of his neck would have been a mess. It wasn't. That's what I am telling you guys. He only had a mark where you saw that mark go in. It completely destroyed his artery, so that's why you saw so much blood. That was like completely. But this didn't even take out like the front of his neck. Okay,
There was no blood on none of those guys' hands.
Once he was cleaned up and put into the casket, Charlie looked good. This was not a situation which required a lot to put Charlie back together. So That's what I want people to know. It's beyond just the bullet didn't pass through. You have to believe that it was such a miracle. There was no blood on the back of his shirt until obviously he went downward and then things, gravity. But there was no blood, there was no splatter. And also that the front of his neck was clean. It's ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, that's the big obvious thing. The second, for me, most compelling thing is that they're saying how harmful these conspiracy theories are, and yet the easiest thing that they could have done immediately is to just release footage of the person taking the shot. Even if we can't see it, Tyler Robinson, wouldn't you just go, oh, we're actually going to show you, because there were cameras everywhere, the shot being taken from Losey Center? They have not produced that evidence. Why? Explain to me logically, I know you guys are big lawyers and experts, why releasing footage of somebody taking a shot?
This is why you shouldn't buy just one Mazzato knife. If you only buy one, you're just losing money. Add another to your order and get it for less than 20 bucks. It is a killer deal, as we're offering a one-time 70% discount. The more you add, the more you save. A high-quality Japanese-style kitchen knife as a gift for less than 20 bucks. Holy shit, it's amazing. Seriously, this is a one-time thing, so don't be an idiot, guys. We have brought this deal back for the next 24 hours only. Our knives last forever, but the sale won't. We already got tons of badass customers who've jumped on this deal and enjoyed an upgrade in their cooking experience like never before. They love it so much. They are coming back to buy more as a gift for their loved ones. Our support team told us the demand is so crazy, we'll be out of stock soon. So catch this kick-ass 70% buy more, save more sale before you miss out. We heard our knives sell faster than tickets to a Garth Brooks comeback tour, so you have to be quick and act fast. Click the link below to redeem it. Not sure yet? Let me show you what Earl scored by ordering not one, but two Mazzato knives. It's super sharp, versatile, and great for cooking indoors and outdoors. Material? Highest carbon steel, razor sharp, durable, perfect balance, crafted by master artisans. This is the true...
Would in any way hinder your super strong case against him? It's not going to make it stronger, right? It's not going to make it stronger to show us that this person actually fired the shot. And here's, and I will say a third thing that's the most compelling. There was only one person who caught that person on the roof crouching down. One person caught that on camera, right?
Okay,
and
let me go back.
Hear
I
the guy
missed
say in
it.
the background, "Oh, I see somebody up there. I see somebody up there." That happens at 12:23. I think Charlie gets shot at 12:23 and is maybe 30 milliseconds. Was because he wanted to spare Erika having to see her husband killed in 4K.
Oh, come on.
And I said back to him, did you notice that we all watched him being killed in 4K? Like, you didn't spare, if that was your goal, you came short of it when it was live streamed and the entire world saw it. And then he sort of pivoted and said, well, I also wanted to make sure that I had secured it for the FBI. And I said, well, why that camera in particular? Because you didn't grab the other ones that swiftly. And he said that, and this was the part I still can't get clarity on, that the ops back home, and I said, what do you mean the ops back home? You don't have people back at Turning Point USA watching the live stream. And he said, oh, we were doing something new that day. And I asked him, okay, well, were the ops, you're saying, he said op back in Arizona. I said, so they were at Turning Point USA headquarters? And he said, no.
Okay, well, where were they?
That's where you work, Terrell. So who are these ops that you spoke to and needed to grab the footage? We can't get clarity on who the ops were.
So, do you feel, what is the most compelling piece of evidence to you that that the FBI story or the establishment story about what happened to Charlie is not true? What is the most compelling? For me, it's this. It's the fact that a 30-06 bullet would leave an exit wound like a drive-through, like at least 6 inches. So mostly it would probably blow someone's head off, and certainly his neck. And here's Rob O'Neill. He was part of the SEAL team that went and got bin Laden, and here's what he had to say about it.
And we were told that he was like Superman. His body stopped a 30-06 bullet. His body was like Superman, made of like some sort of a superhuman metal or something like that. What do you believe about that? If a 30-06 round hit Charlie Kirk, what would have happened?
Well, it's going to blow his head off, probably. It's going to be a big mess, too, but then you're going to find remnants of the bullet. I don't think they've even found it yet. Why was the chair and the desk moved when you can get a forensic expert in there and find out exactly where the shot was fired from? I'm just asking these questions. If they can be refuted, fine. And if you tell me the answer, great. I'll stop asking that. We're not getting any answers. Except, this is what happened. Shut up. Be a good worker.
Shut up. You're an anti-Semite, and when the trial happens, you'll look like a fool.
That's it.
So, to me, that's the most compelling thing, that this is a concocted story by the establishment. And so there's a guy who knows something about it. He shot a lot of people. So what's the most compelling piece of evidence for you?
Well, I will say, Jimmy, I am disappointed that you didn't like Popeye the Sailor Man when you grew up. You can eat a lot of spinach and grow up to be able to stop bullets. And I want to encourage everybody at home to eat your vegetables, because that 3,000 pounds of energy coming at you, you will be able to stop. So I'm disappointed in that guy, because who's he? What does he know about guns, you know? And what's amazing is they're trying to do this thing where they're like, whoa, I spoke, some experts said it maybe could have happened. Show me the example. There's a lot of people being shot all around the world, okay? Show me the example of a person who got shot in the neck with a 30-06 or even something of a similar caliber, and that not only, and I want you to focus on this, not only did the bullet not go through, okay, there was no blood splatter on the back of his shirt when he went down. Okay, they're not showing you that footage. Not only that, I've also said this, which should be, even if you said this was some miracle that it stops, we can all agree the front of his neck would have been a mess. It wasn't. That's what I am telling you guys. He only had a mark where you saw that mark go in. It completely destroyed his artery, so that's why you saw so much blood. That was like completely. But this didn't even take out like the front of his neck. Okay, he looked good. He looked good after, once he was cleaned up and put into the casket. Charlie looked good. This was not a situation which required a lot to put Charlie back together. So that's what I want people to know. It's beyond just the bullet didn't pass through. You have to believe that it was such a miracle. There was no blood on the back of his shirt until obviously he went downward and then things, gravity. But there was no blood. There was no splatter. And also that the front of his neck was clean. It's ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, that's the big obvious thing. The second, for me, most compelling thing is that they're saying how harmful these conspiracy theories are, and yet the easiest thing that they could have done immediately is to just release footage of the person taking the shot. Even if we can't see it, Tyler Robinson, wouldn't you just go, oh, we're actually going to show you, because there were cameras everywhere, the shot being taken from Losey Center?
Mm-hmm.
They have not produced that evidence. Why? Explain
And
to
it's
me
not going to be
logically.
a clear
I know
picture.
you guys are big lawyers and experts. Why releasing footage of somebody
Are they
taking
trying
a
to
shot
doctor it up
would
now?
in any way hinder your super strong case against him? It's not going to make it stronger, right? It's not going to make it stronger to show us that this person actually fired the shot. And here's, and I will say a third thing that's the most compelling. There was only one person who caught that person on the roof crouching down, one person who caught that on camera, right? And you hear the guy say in the background, oh, I see somebody up there, I see somebody up there. That happens at 12:23. I think Charlie gets shot at 12:23 and is maybe 30 milliseconds. I've spoken to that individual. He was difficult to find, but not too hard to find. I've spoken to this person twice. He said he has not been asked to testify. He did not, here's the best part, he did not see that person take the shot. He saw him crouch down, and that was it. And this person works teaching people how to fire guns. He said it did not look to him like Tyler. He said the person was in, what's the word, which is what we heard over the 911 call. He saw a person that was in
Tactical gear.
Military man, and he was in, what do you call them when they're in like their black official
Tactical
garb?
gear.
There's an expression for that.
I don't know. I'm blanking on it myself.
Thank you. Tactical gear. My producer just said it in my ear. Tactical gear. He said he saw a person in tactical gear. This is a professional who knew what he was doing. He did not see him take the shot. He did not see, because he said there would have been a recoil, and that he told the local police, he walked into the police station right after, and he said, I saw somebody on the roof. He did not see that person take the shot, okay? The lone witness to this person on the roof, okay?
Wow.
They have not reached out to him. Tyler Robinson's defense lawyers have not reached out to him. Does that make sense to you?
It just sounds like you're a crazy person. And,
yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
So there's so much that I would like to ask you
Stop.
about. Did you know
All she
that
can say is stop.
I asked Grok to analyze the
Yeah.
sound waves,
Stop telling
and
the
Grok
truth.
says that
You're
it's
making
not the
this
sound
hard
waves
on
don't match
us.
up with a high caliber
If we
rifle
can't
like
pull
30
this
6.
off,
That it sounds
Turning
like
Point
it came
USA
from
will
close.
go under.
What's closer?
Everybody's
Did you know
going to
this
pull
already,
their
or am I
money.
telling you something
That's
you already
what O'Gare was really
Well,
saying. All the donations will stop. So stop, Candace. Stop. You are making it bad on everyone. The donations have slowed down. They are afraid that you're going to expose us. Stop. That's what she's saying. That's the real reason. She's not trying to dig into what happened to Charlie because she do not want the donations to stop. And what money? It's always about the money. Absolutely. So those crazy looking stop. Stop. That's it. That's all. Stop. Okay, please. Oh, you better find you some more donors. Boo boo. Find you some more donors. Can you make sure that they are not settlers, not stealing and dealing? Yeah. Yeah, you let them unalive your husband that you really did love for the love of money. Yeah. No, I will not. Get out. EF 6406. Get out. Get out. You're not going to hear nothing. I bet you're not going to hear nothing. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet that you, EF 6406, is not going to hear nothing? I bet you ain't finna hear nothing. Not over here. Get your ass out. Now go hear it somewhere else. Anybody else need some help? I mean, these people are crazy. They feel entitled to make you do what they want you to do on your platform. The devil is a lie. That entitlement shit don't work. I'm the captain. Captain, everything. Princess, empress, queen. Yeah, I run this shit. If you don't like it, get out.
I think I've spoken to every UVU student on the ground that day. In my investigation, everyone said that it sounded like it came from a student on the ground that day. In my investigation, everyone said Robinson's defense lawyers have not reached out to him. Does that make sense to you?
Just sounds like you're a crazy person. And,
She don't want no justice,
Yeah,
real justice.
Yeah.
All that stuff looks
there's
staged.
so much that I would like to ask you about. Did you know that I asked Grok to analyze the sound waves, and Grok says that it's not, the sound waves don't match up with a high caliber rifle like 30
Oh, wow.
That it sounds like it came from close. What's closer? Did you know this already, or am I telling you something you already know?
Well, I think I've spoken to every UVU student on the ground that day. In my investigation, everyone said that it sounded like it came from closer.
Yeah.
And there's mysteriously, it's a dark hole if you try to get footage of what happened if you're Charlie Kirk on his left side.
Hungry Root is the easiest way to eat healthy.
Hey, Mysterious of 7. Mystery of 7.
They take care of the weekly groceries.
Right. So based on the evidence I have gathered, I believe that the shot came from a left side and it came from a lot closer. And if somebody fired a rifle, that was just to cover a sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not believe that there was ever a shot fired from the top of Losey Center. There is not one piece of compelling evidence to that effect. There's no one that can dispute that. There, at least of all, the feds who do not want to produce that evidence for whatever reason. And yeah, that is where my investigation has led me. The students who, were below the age of 60. For whatever reason, the mainstream media could only find people that didn't go to UVU and didn't actually speak to the students, who all said, we didn't recognize, like, a lot of people that were there that day.
Right.
They didn't go to UVU. It was very weird. And we heard the shot from
But it was
closer
a
coming from
student
the website.
event.
So I don't even, I wanted to ask you about and show you Cash Patel completely flipping on his story about the text messages that Tyler Robinson was alleged to have sent to his trans lover with language that only, a 22-year-old kid would not use. My love, I'm in my vehicle, all those things. And it's
Cash
like,
Patel wrote
he's an
that.
A+ student, but somehow he wanted to leave a complete here, who, what, where, when, and why I killed this guy. And I wanted, it doesn't make sense at all. And they keep saying that, he confessed. He didn't confess. And they say he turned himself in. And people are saying, why don't you talk to the parents? Well, because there's a gag order. The judge put a gag order, and they can't talk.
Well, they should have
And
asked
so
before the
we
gag
don't know why
order.
they turned him in. I suspect it was because that they were told, like, hey, if you don't go to the police, they're going to come and SWAT your house, and you don't want that to happen.
That's exactly true. I broke that story. I spoke to someone that was very close with his parents, and that's what happened. And by the way, that then flies in the face. Remember, they told this whole story that he was suicidal.
Yes.
And that his dad convinced him not to kill himself.
Yes.
And then they said he turned himself in because he didn't want to die. Well, both can't be true. He either wanted to die or he didn't want to die. It can't be he was suicidal, just about to kill himself, and then he said, I'm just going to go in anyways, I don't want to die. And that also conflicts with his text messages, where he said, like, if I go to prison for the rest of my life. Okay, is he suicidal or not suicidal? They can't get their story straight. And the reality is the shady character that we can't get clarity on that facilitated this is this, what I believe to be an undercover cop. Mitchell, I think was his name, who was his Boy Scout leader, Eagle Scout leader, whatever it was, at the LDS church. He is the one that...
Smart founders know something most people miss. Give your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business.
Always somebody that's close.
Facilitated that and said, as an undercover cop, I know that your name came up, whatever, it's going to be easier for you to turn yourself in. Tyler Robinson denied to his father that he had anything to do with it. And it was, okay, well, guess what? They think you do. They're going to bang down your doors. You can potentially die, or you can turn yourself in. And I think that could be part of the reason. I also have another person who told me that the people inside of the police station that he turned himself in were specifically told to avoid cameras, not to look at the cameras when this person came in. In my gut of why they are suddenly saying that footage does not exist, I think it's because of this undercover Mitch that might be in that footage.
Oh.
And yeah, I find that guy to be very problematic. And if you go back and watch Sheriff Brooksby in his first delivery, going back to your point about when they over-explain stuff,
yes,
he totally over-explains this Mitch character. He's like, it's not weird that he's the one that called us. We're friends with what, and I'm nobody asked you if it was weird, so why? And it's now weird that you started with. It's not weird, it's not weird. It's not weird.
It's totally
so there's something
normal
about the Mitch thing that needs to be. I think his name was Detective Mitchell or something, that needs to be prodded further. Best I could tell, by the way, which I find to be interesting, is that he is an undercover cop, I believe, and I'm going to say allegedly here because I can't confirm this with certainty, but it looks like he's involved in online sex crimes against children. Mm-hmm. So this kind of connects the mysterious dot of Decoy Boy.
Always messing with kids.
There's a lot of people there
that is one thing is for
they,
sure. Everything that's pertaining to these people are messing with kids. Kids, why? Why? Everybody. Not Charlie, but Erika and Owens have something to do with messing around, victimizing kids. It's craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Father, a lot of them have child sex crimes in their background. And I think that potentially if you do stings and your job as a police officer is to find all these people online, these would be very easy people to blackmail. And Decoy Boy, George Zinn, when he got to the hospital, because he went to UV hospital after, Utah Valley Hospital. He told the nurses that he was told to do that and that he was going to be paid, but
Acting.
he didn't know where the money was coming from.
Crisis acting.
So I think this was going on. There's a lot of like people that were there that day that I looked them up and I'm like, oh, how weird. Like you
They're
have
crisis
a
actor.
history with
And Tyler
child
Robinson was
pornography.
one before
So
as well.
I want to talk about donor money. So, do you have information now? Seen people say that Charlie turned down $150 million offer from Benjamin Netanyahu right before his assassination. Did you hear that? Can you confirm that?
I had never heard the amount, so
Oh,
it could have been more, it could have been less. I know that it was a ton of money, and it was going to take Turning Point to the next level. That I can confirm. The second thing,
What's that?
And that next level was to
Wow, that is good. This
denounce
is
Christ
17
and
shots.
merge
It's
the
packed.
Zionists.
that I can confirm is that there was as I have reported, a billionaire named Pierre who was going to facilitate, and I am told, billions into Turning Point USA. Now, I am not saying that there was a contingency and Charlie had to die for that to happen,
No, they
but
just
I
wanted
can
the young people.
confirm that that deal has gone through despite the fact that Charlie died, which if I was a donor, I'd be like, well, Charlie's gone, so what's this organization? I don't know if that's going to work. And I don't know many billionaires that are willing to part with their cash in that way. What's your investment here? You care that
So that's
much
why
about
Erika's
conservative
saying
principles on
stop.
college campuses. So I am really prodding that narrative of, because to me that's a financial motive, if I've ever heard one, of why someone might betray you. Again, not implying that this person said Charlie must die, but when you couple it with Bibi Netanyahu offering to take Turning Point to the next level, you wonder, does this person have a relationship with Bibi Netanyahu? Is that how he was going to take Turning Point to the next level? Because he's not acting right. Bibi Netanyahu's just not acting right. Or he certainly wasn't in the immediate aftermath, tweeting before the president that Charlie had been shot. That doesn't feel right to me. He's a busy guy. He's fighting war everywhere.
Well, at least
And
he
he was a
said
little
shot
too
that
locked
other
into
guy
that.
that was there,
So,
said he was
I
dead.
have a lot of questions there, and I am investigating that further because it seems that once I mentioned this mysterious Pierre, Turning Point lost their minds. That's when this
And
now
the
wave of assaults
Egyptian,
have come at me. They're not
the
denying it. It's
planes,
true. I'm telling you the
they
truth.
started
That's the
tripping
reality.
on her
It was
with
a
the
very
planes.
hush-hush thing, and people were not supposed to know about it at Turning Point USA, except for a handful of people, about this billions that was going to pour into the company because of this Pierre.
And wasn't there a phone call made by an executive at TPUSA immediately after the assassination to this Pierre? Is that
Yes.
So can you tell me
That's
about
what
that?
that is. Yeah, and that was kind of what made people at Turning Point go, that was weird. And then that kind of made it around the water cooler. And then I was able to confirm by somebody else at Turning Point USA that happened. Now, I can't say whether it was, I mean, certainly when it was told to me, it sounded like it was one of the first phone calls. So I can't say whether that was 5 minutes, 10 minutes, within the hour, 2 hours. But I think it's a strange phone call to make. I mean, I call a lot of people before I called immediately a donor, that's for sure. So now we can assign no ill motive and say maybe that was because they were worried that that person was suddenly not going to give them the money because Charlie was no longer dead. But that seems like a very vain worry when your founder has been shot. And and the way that this came to me, and I'll put this as allegedly, it sounded like before we knew Charlie was dead, that person got a phone call.
Right.
Now, again, it could just be you're in the pool of donors that get everything first because we want this money. So, but it happened, and that's interesting. And me mentioning it caused mass panic.
And we know
we can see that right now.
Yes, and we know there's a lot of shady financial goings on because, as you point out, in your list of things that you thought are suspicious and lies, is that Charlie established a Doge to go in and audit the finances at his company, which was new. Everybody has normal audits, but he wanted a special one, and then they lied about that. They said that his Doge was not unusual, but of course it is because Doge wasn't invented until this year. So
of course, common sense.
Right.
And it was so ridiculous to tell that lie again. This is why people don't trust them, because they're not being forthcoming. All of this would not have been suspicious if they were like, yeah, no, that's real. He was going to establish a Doge. He was thinking that we were spending money too quickly. They go with a ridiculous lie every time about everything.
They're
No,
bad.
he just liked the architecture at the Catholic Church. Why are you like such a weird lie? No, he never once blinked on Israel. He loved Israel. He was just about to order a yarmulke in the mail. Like, why are we telling these lies over and over again? Why not come out and be like, and it really sucks because he was under a lot of pressure, and I regret that I pressured him about this topic. Like, that's what Seth Dillon could have said. Instead, he lied about that weekend. People that were there said Seth Dillon pressed him. Okay, I got that first-hand account, people that were there, that Seth Dillon was angry, that he pressed him about Bibi Netanyahu. Doesn't mean Seth Dillon had anything to do with his murder, but I just question why lie?
Right.
Why not just turn it into a lesson and say, man, that life is short. I really wish that wasn't the last time I saw him. I really regret that something so meaningless was our last correspondence. Why? I don't understand the lies, and nobody does understand the lies. And when people keep telling lies and then gaslighting us about them, it starts to look like a larger conspiracy.
And so they have to create a straw man against you and say, why are you saying that Erika was in on the murder, or TPS-USA was in on the murder? You're saying why are they lying? That's what you're not saying this or that. You're not positing a theory. You're asking just what. And so we know that there's shady financial stuff because what is the name of this guy's channel? Wolf Finances. He uncovered some stuff I just want to show you right now. I'm sure you know this, but here we go.
Now we have the finances so we can see how that money was spent.
Welcome
Oh, yeah.
to Power in Politics.
He
where
laid
we
it
explore
out.
leadership, legacy, and the people shaping change in.
Just to recap, there are 4 shell companies. Turning Point USA is the main one. Then we have Turning Point Action, America's Turning Point, and Turning Point Endowment. Just as a reminder, Tyler Boyer is the only paid executive listed for America's Turning Point. Charlie Kirk is not even listed. So it seems strange to me.
Tyler
that in
Boyer.
FY24, $8.6
Maybe
billion
that's who her
mysteriously
baby
got
daddy
transferred out of the main
is.
company into the shell company managed by
Maybe
Tyler
that's
Boyer.
who she
When we look at how
protecting.
this money was actually spent, it went mainly to salaries. And in the last video, I mentioned the possibility
The
of ghost
salary in the
employees.
parking
Okay,
lot.
so I don't want to go, but that's okay. Shady stuff. And here he also found this.
When I was going through all the new financial information, I saw this chart, and immediately, I had a good idea of what was going on. This shows revenue going into Turning Point Action. And you can see a gigantic leap in revenues for FY24. It went from 10.7 million to 27.2 million. That is over a 150% increase in 1 year, an extraordinary achievement for a nonprofit. What is even more curious is when you put this chart side by side with Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA shows a 4% increase. Remember that Turning Point USA is the main organization with Charlie Kirk as president. Charlie Kirk works a lot less on Turning Point Action, and Tyler Boyer is the COO. Do you see what is happening? For some reason, in FY24, Turning Point got a ton of new donors. But these new donors went around Charlie Kirk and into the organization where Tyler Boyer was the COO. It's almost like they did not want Charlie Kirk to know about it. Now, we don't know who these...
Okay, so I just want people to see that. I want people to know that there's motive, right? And so I grew up watching Columbo, and you always look at the people closest to the person. And so there's motive for them to lie about certain things and to not want people to look into it. And they also had motive to be involved. I'm just saying there's motive there, and there it is. And
Where there's money, there's motive, always, of course. And I've been very clear and explicit about this. Tyler Boyer is a bad guy. Okay, everybody knows this. Like, look, he required a presidential pardon this year. Okay, he is he's a part of the Arizona sleaze politics. Hooks up with younger guys
Christian Summer.
and is in an open marriage. Like a swingers. He's a bad guy. And he is now effectively at the helm of Turning Point USA. You could say, oh, it's Turning Point Action, but Tyler is the person who single-handedly hired every person around Charlie Kirk. He brought in everybody that you are seeing and you have questions about.
So he pulled the Trump.
Who was at the Kairos company before this under Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore is the guy involved in all that Gaza shade. The only...
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube.
So Tyler
and the YouTube Music app.
Boyer is a Trump, bringing all the bad guys.
Humanitarian that they're allowing into Gaza while these kids are being plucked off. Like Tucker did an episode about Johnny Moore and the Kairos Company. Tyler Boyer hired Stacey Sheridan. Tyler Boyer is the one that told Charlie they needed to take Turning Point to the next level. I know who Tyler Boyer is, and I am telling you he's a bad guy. And what I will say is, parking aside, because I've never been involved in what I feel like is just not sound critique of Erika, of like, I don't like her outfit, I don't care about any of that. But if we're going to talk about her as a CEO and a chairman, I find it alarming that she's saying this is her family.
Yes.
Which, by the way, obviously she knew Tyler before she knew Charlie. Like, they had a longer, like, she knew Tyler for years before she ever met Charlie. They went to, like, the same school and whatever. But the point is I question your judgment as a chairman and a CEO if you're going to say that this is your family. I got issues with your family, okay? And I'm not going to accept that emotional argument that we have to accept that Tyler Boyer is a part of her family, so we can't talk about how problematic he is. That's not leadership. And of course, as a chairman and a CEO, you can have bad judgment. There's also that weird argument where they are now trying to reverse it and go, are you saying that Charlie had bad judgment? Yeah, I'm saying all of us can have the wrong judgment. Charlie certainly, what are you guys trying to, this is the George Floyd thing where they turn George Floyd into like, he never did anything wrong. I would tell Charlie all the time he had bad judgment. I told him not to hire Stacey Sheridan. I said, look, I just got a bad vibe from her. And I was like, you don't want to go this route with people that are just like focused on money, money, money. Tyler was insisting, like she's from this whatever institute and she's going to take us to the next level. So yeah, of course, Charlie had bad judgment about various things. And I would say that that's abundantly clear right now in the aftermath as we're dealing with people that are supposed to be his lieutenants who don't seem to be doing the right thing to the public. So yeah, we're allowed to say that. Charlie wasn't a perfect person.
Yeah, do you feel like they intentionally made her the CEO so they could hide behind this kind of argument that how dare you, she's a grieving widow, how dare you attack her or her family, which is now her corporation that has raked in $140 million just in the last 2 months. So do you think that kind of, to me, that's what it looks like?
What I can say is, I have always said that the speed at which they did it doesn't make any sense to me. There's no reason not to have an interim CEO like every other corporation would do. You know, Justin Strife was COO. He's perfectly capable of being the CEO for a little bit. If it really was Charlie's wishes to have her, as they have indicated, to have her be the CEO, okay, don't you need time to learn things? Like, you know, just take that period to learn. How does it work? Whatever. Get some people in there. Get your guys in there. And naturally, I would expect you're going to do a little bit of firing, you know. And I do think that I agree that it has now presented for them an opportunity to shield themselves.
Yes.
And that's the stage we're at. She's a grieving widow, so you can't question her. And that's why it is akin to David Hogg. They're now making the David Hogg argument. Like, David Hogg survived Parkland. Oh my God, it's a tragedy. So now you have to accept his opinion on CNN. I'm like, well wait, I'm sorry. This is like he was like a high school kid. David Hogg survived Parkland shooting, so you now can't question whether or not he has the merit to be at Harvard University. I'm like, well, I think I can, because I think he sounds like an idiot. Like, why do I have to listen to David Hogg? If David Hogg is getting into Harvard, how is that fair? And so basically what they're saying is it's no longer a meritocracy. You're no longer allowed to have common sense because you survived the tragedy at Parkland. They're doing this same thing with Erika, you can see already, and that's going to frustrate the public very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can critique her as a CEO and a chairman. Of course, it's a massive company that relies on the goodwill of the people. And now you're saying that the goodwill of people doesn't matter, and because she's a grieving widow. If you're going to be a grieving widow,
then crossing real tears.
If you're going to be a grieving widow, that's absolutely fine. You have every right and capacity, and there should be some protection for that. You should not be going after people's wives and assigning their motives. But she stepped into a role as CEO and chairman. So that's fair. It is fair to critique a company.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I think we're up. I think our time is up with you. I wanted to just quickly ask you about, was there a light bulb? So Erika Kirk just did an interview with Barry Weiss, who got, the Zionists, you can't say that Zionists run the media, even though explicitly they bought TikTok so they can control the pro-Zionists, and then same thing with CBS News. And I just, was there a light bulb moment for you when you realized the malign controlling influence Israel wields over our politics, our government, and our media?
Yeah, when I said genocide is always wrong and they tried to ruin my life was probably a pretty good light bulb moment. It was exactly like a gang sent it on me, the messages that I was receiving, basically like it's your final warning. And they're like, we're not a gang, we're not a gang. We just threaten people like a gang, take their entire livelihood like a gang, lie maliciously, use power dynamics to basically say you're not allowed to be in this economy. You'll never hit a stage again at a Republican event if you don't agree with us.
Hungry Root makes sticking to my anti-inflammatory diet so easy. I just started an anti-inflammatory diet, and at first I was nervous. I wouldn't
Anti-inflammatory
have
diet.
And you know what? I had the fortitude and the character to say, "F you." I'm not going to align with evil for money. And it is just perfectly rich that these very same people are now saying that she's making money. Like when Barry Weiss asked that question to Erika, they're like, the YouTubers are making hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars talking about this issue. Jimmy Dore is making money. He is doing this for his career. It's amazing how much power they think they have over our psyche, and that's because in the past it's worked. I think they've done it and it's worked in the past, and I'm just happy that for the first time it's not working and people are just seeing through the absolute BS that's happening here.
Well, I was in Australia for 8 days on a tour, and I would start every show by saying you can find everything in Australia that you want: great food, great entertainment, great nightlife. You just can't find Candace Owens, and everyone would laugh. And I said, they say she didn't pass the character test. I said, did you know that there's a character test to get into Australia? And everybody would laugh. And then, so it was. The people in Australia love you. I just wanted to let you know, I've become very fond of you. I really admire your courage. I really do. I really admire your smarts and the way that you don't get distracted by BS. A lot of people would be, and I just really thank you. I think if the Zionists didn't control the media, CBS, MSNBC, Fox, all of it. Right? We know it's very pro-Israel, very pro-Zionist. You wouldn't be out there alone. You wouldn't have to do this. But because there's this control of our media, which is real, and it's just been proven by the most recent purchases of the major social media platform, and 1/6 of the entire United States media just got purchased by a pro-Zionist for Zionist purposes. So anyway, I know you have to go. I just want to say. Love what you're doing, love you, and keep going. And thank you so much for making time for our show. And that's it. If you have anything to say before we go?
No, just thank you. And just always, I'm so grateful to the people because it's like we're at war with these very powerful establishment voices. But at the end of the day, it does come down to power to the people. And I think that is what frustrates them because they are just so used to being able to buy things. They are just that wealthy where they think they can purchase your common sense. And they're frustrated right now because their unlimited credit card is being declined. They're like, no, but I'm buying your common sense. I can do that. And so we are in a tremendous time, and I deeply appreciate the podcasters who are out there defending me, and the people who are watching the content and effectively giving a middle finger to these guys and then saying no, you actually don't get to do this. You don't get to look us in the face and say what Epstein files and keep it moving what Epstein files and keep it moving and pretend that we're the demonic and the evil ones because we want to know about people who are harming children and publicly executing people who are good, publicly executing the good guys and protecting the bad guys. That doesn't fly.
Okay. Candace Owens, thank you so much. And
Okay, good people. I'll be back later on tonight. What time is it? Ooh, it's almost 8 o'clock. I don't know. I'll see what I can do. Thank you for your time. Please hit the like button on the way out if you did not hit it coming in. I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Keep going. It's almost 3 hours. He's right. She definitely built up the momentum and has a lot of people shook. Yep. Keep going. Oh, you telling her to keep going. Okie dokie. Was telling that about Candace. Got it. Read the comments, AunTeaFee. Read the comments. Okay, I may see y'all back later on tonight, okay? What time? I may need to play, hold on, what I missed last night. I think it's only about 15 minutes. About the Hebrews, Israelites, and the Jews.
Your security detail. And he said, I have.
Just in case I don't make it back. Let me get that. Hold on. Get the lights up, y'all. Come on.
General Phil Weiser. It's a basic principle of our
Hold on. Lord, where is that? I can't stand when I can't find. Hold on. I want to watch the exact one. It was good last night. Yeah, but you know, naturally, New Orleans, after I got off, it you know, because they was saying all their goodbyes, and it was still some more that you should have heard. Here it is.
If you're over 30 with a mortgage, did you know there's a type of life insurance that pays you while you're still alive?
It's a whole different world. I don't know even how to explain it, but you feel so proud,
No,
so
I don't
good
think. No, that's not
about what
it.
you've accomplished, and then there's
That's not it. He just used the picture. I want to watch the same exact one that we watched. Isn't it funny? I can't stand when this happens. Let me hit refresh. Because it should be in my history. Did I put it on the watch later? Hold on. This is what happens when you be researching some of everything. And stop confusing. And it should not be this far down.
Here's a Christmas shopping hack that saves you a ton of money. So we just dropped.
Have you ever read your Bible and wondered?
This is it. I thought it had a different picture. Okay, y'all ready? Oh yeah, but I think I ended it and continued to listen.
Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews. These names appear often in Scripture. Sometimes they seem the same. Other times, have you ever read your Bible and wondered about the Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews? These names appear often in Scripture. Sometimes they seem the same. Other times they have special meanings. For many Christians today, these differences are not clear. We will explore this together. By the end of this, you will know how the Bible defines these three groups. You'll see why knowing the difference can make your faith stronger. Jesus said in John 8:32, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." So stay with me as we trace the journey from Abraham the Hebrew to the children of Israel and then to the Jews of the New Testament. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. Your support helps share God's Word. Who are the Hebrews? The first time the word Hebrew is in the Bible is in Genesis 14:13. It says, "Then a fugitive came and told Abram the Hebrew." Of all the names Abram could have been given, the text calls him Abram the Hebrew. What does this mean? The word Hebrew comes from a Hebrew word that means to cross over. This name is linked to Abraham's obedience when God called him out of Ur and later from Haran. Abraham crossed the Euphrates River into Canaan. This physical crossing was also a symbol. He left the land of idols and entered into a promise with the one true God. He left his old self and stepped into the promise that he would be the father of many nations. So when you hear Abram, the Hebrew, think of it as someone who crossed over. He crossed from his old life to a new one, from a home full of idols to the promised land. So Hebrew is not just about family background, it is a promise identity. It marks Abraham as someone called out and set apart for God. In Genesis 40-15, Joseph is in prison in Egypt. He says, "I was indeed stolen out of the land of the Hebrews." Joseph saw himself as part of that family line, even in a foreign land. In Exodus 1, Pharaoh ordered the killing of male babies. He told this to the Hebrew midwives. The Egyptians clearly knew Abraham's family as Hebrews. To them, Hebrews were different people who worshipped one God, not many. In the Old Testament, outsiders often used the word Hebrew for God's people. Even in 1 Samuel 14:11, the Philistines made fun of them, saying, "Look, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden themselves." To other nations, the word meant separation. These are the ones who crossed over into a special identity. To sum up, Hebrew is the first name given to God's people. It is about a promise. Abraham was called the Hebrew because he left everything to follow God. Who are the Israelites? Now let's move to the next question. Who are the Israelites? Abraham's grandson Jacob is important here. In Genesis 32-28, after wrestling all night with the angel of the Lord, Jacob gets a new name, Israel. The angel tells him, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men and have won." From that moment, Jacob's identity changed. He is Israel, the one who wrestled with God and won. Jacob had 12 sons who became the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. These were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. This is where the term Israelite comes from. An Israelite is a child of Jacob, the man renamed Israel. Exodus 1-7 shows their growth. But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased greatly, multiplied and became very strong, and the land was filled with them. What started as one family in Canaan grew into a large nation in Egypt. When God spoke to Moses at the burning bush, he said he was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. By this name, he connected himself directly to the people of Israel. They are the promised nation God brought out of Egypt, guided through the desert, and led into the promised land. In Deuteronomy 7-6, God says, "For you are a holy people to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for him, a special treasure above all the peoples on the face of the earth." To be an Israelite meant to be part of that promised nation, chosen and set apart. Divided kingdom, but history changed a lot after King Solomon's rule. The United Kingdom of Israel split into two parts. The northern kingdom kept the name Israel and had 10 tribes. The southern kingdom was called Judah and had the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and many Levites who served in the temple.
At CarParts.com, quality is our standard. Our end-of-line testing ensures every part meets that standard. Plus, many of our products are CAPA certified, a visible guarantee of industry-recognized reliability and performance. CarParts.com, quality parts, priced right.
Our intel chain is compromised.
How long have you willingly been committing treason against the United States government?
What?
You're the mole, Alexander. Someone's been watching and listening through you.
You're telling me it's real?
That's a Wi-Fi.
Sadly, the northern kingdom quickly fell into idol worship. They made golden calves, refused the temple in Jerusalem, and ignored the prophets like Elijah, Hosea, and Amos. Eventually, God's judgment came. In 722 BC, the Assyrians took over Samaria and sent the northern tribes away into exile. These became known as the lost tribes of Israel. Meanwhile, the southern kingdom of Judah lasted. Jerusalem stayed its capital, and the temple remained the center of worship. Even though Judah also struggled with sin, God kept them because of his promise to David. 2 Kings 8:19 says, "Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah for David,
So
his servant's sake.
he kept them because of his promise to David.
Forever."
Right. So
From this remaining
hold on.
nation came the
So
next big
David has
identity in the Bible,
David
the Jews.
promise been fulfilled? Hold on. So they try. Oh, okay. So I see what they may be trying to do. Hold on.
Judah lasted. Jerusalem stayed its capital, and the temple remained the center of worship. Even though Judah also struggled with sin, God kept them because of his promise to David. 2 Kings 8:19 says, "Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah for David, his servant's sake, as he promised to give a lamp to him and his sons forever." From this remaining nation came the next big identity in the Bible, the Jews. Who are the Jews? The word Jew comes from the name Judah, one of Jacob's 12 sons in Genesis 49-10. Jacob spoke about his son Judah, saying, "The scepter will not leave Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. To him shall be the obedience of the people." From the start, Judah's tribe was chosen for leadership. From Judah came the kings of Israel, David, Solomon, and finally the Messiah himself, Jesus Christ. When the northern kingdom of Israel was destroyed by Assyria, only Judah remained. The people of the southern kingdom became known as the Yehud, the Jews. When Babylon eventually attacked Judah, great destruction followed. 2 Kings 25 tells how Nebuchadnezzar's lost tribes of Israel. Meanwhile, the southern kingdom of Judah lasted. Jerusalem stayed its capital, and the temple remained the center of worship. Even though Judah also struggled with sin, God kept them because of his promise to David. 2 Kings 8:19 says, "Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah for David, his servant's sake, as he promised to give a lamp to him and his sons forever." From this remaining nation came the next big identity in the Bible, the Jews. Who are the Jews? The word Jew comes from the name Judah, one of Jacob's 12 sons in Genesis 49-10. Jacob spoke about his son Judah, saying, "The scepter will not leave Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people." From the start, Judah's tribe was chosen for leadership. From Judah came the kings of Israel, David, Solomon, and finally the Messiah himself, Jesus Christ. When the northern kingdom of Israel was destroyed by Assyria, only Judah remained. The people of the southern kingdom became known as the Yehud, the Jews. When Babylon eventually attacked Judah, great destruction followed. 2 Kings 25 tells how Nebuchadnezzar's armies attacked Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and took the people captive. But even in exile, their identity remained. By the time of the Babylonian exile, the name Jew was the most common name for God's promised people. Ezra 4:12 records God's enemies writing to the Persian king, saying, "Let it be known to the king that the Jews who came up from you have come to us at Jerusalem. They are rebuilding the rebellious and evil city." Even the book of Esther often uses the word Jew. Esther 2-5 says, "In Shushan the citadel, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite." Mordecai was from the tribe of Benjamin, not Judah.
It got stuck in the branch that it was growing on, and then it also has...
Yet he was still called a Jew. By this time, the name Jew did not only mean those from Judah's tribe. Instead, it became the general term for all those who belonged to the promised people of the southern kingdom. Jews in the New Testament move forward to the New Testament. You'll see how important this title became. When the wise men came to Jerusalem, they asked in Matthew 2-2, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews?" At Jesus' trial, Pilate asked Jerusalem. They asked in Matthew 2-2, how important this title became. When the wise men came to Jerusalem, they asked in Matthew 2:2, "Where is he who..." In Shushan the citadel, there was a certain Jew
Why
whose
they
name was
run?
Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
They don't want.
Mordecai
They know the
was from the
truth.
tribe of Benjamin, not Judah. Yet he was still called a Jew. By this time, the name Jew did not only mean those from Judah's tribe. Instead, it became the general term for all those who belonged to the promised people of the southern kingdom. Jews in the New Testament move forward to the New Testament. You'll see how important this title became. When the wise men came to Jerusalem, they asked in Matthew 2:2, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews?" At Jesus' trial, Pilate asked him directly in John 18:33, "Are you the King of the Jews?" And when Jesus was crucified, the sign above his head said in Matthew 27-37, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." From his birth to his death, Jesus was always called
The King of the Jews, right?
the Jew, the son of David, the heir of Judah's line. Hebrew starts with Abraham, the one who crossed over. Israelite starts with Jacob, the one who wrestled with God, whose family became a nation. Jew starts with Judah, the tribe that lasted, saved through exile, and gave the world the Messiah. The Apostle Paul shows how these identities connect. In Romans 11:1,
And
Paul
how they
writes,
separate.
"For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin." Here Paul makes three claims about who he is. He is an Israelite, a child of Jacob. He is of the seed of Abraham, connecting back to the Hebrews, and he is of the tribe of Benjamin, which made him a Jew in Philippians 3-5. Paul describes himself as circumcised on the 8th day of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, concerning the law, a Pharisee. He accepts all three identities. In Paul's story,
So he was a Pharisee as well. Okay, let's hold on.
of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, concerning the law, a Pharisee. He accepts all three identities. In Paul's story, we see how all three terms can be true at once. Each one shows a different part of his identity. Bringing it all together now that we have defined each one. Let's put it together. The title, Hebrew, takes us back to Abraham. Genesis 14:13 calls him Abram the Hebrew. This was the earliest identity of God's people. Every child of Abraham through Isaac and Jacob could be called a Hebrew. But remember, Abraham also had other children like Ishmael and Esau. They were also Hebrews. That means not every Hebrew is an Israelite. The title Israelite makes the focus smaller. This name is directly linked to Jacob, the man renamed Israel. From his 12 sons came the 12 tribes of Israel. An Israelite was a member of that promised nation descended from Jacob. The title Jew is the narrowest of the three.
If you sleep on a satin pillowcase, you deserve to know about this. I discovered that my satin pillowcase, of all things, was drying out my skin, causing breakouts.
It comes from Judah, whose children formed the southern kingdom after Israel split. When the northern tribes were sent into exile, only Judah, Benjamin, and the Levites remained. By the time of the New Testament, Jew had become the common name for God's people. Think of it this way. Every Jew is an Israelite because they come from Jacob's family. Every Israelite is a Hebrew because they come from Abraham. But not every Hebrew is an Israelite. And not every Israelite is a Jew. These three names are layers of identity. Hebrew speaks of where they came from. Israelite speaks of nationhood. Jew speaks of lasting and continuing. Each term tells part of the larger story of how God kept his promises from Abraham to Jacob to Judah, and finally to Christ. Revelation 5:5 says, "Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the scroll and to loose its 7 seals." That Lion of Judah, Jesus, is the ultimate fulfillment of them all. Unity in Christ. Galatians 3:28-29 says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. And if you are Christ's, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise."
Okay, so right there. What you hear? What y'all hear? Male, female, Jew. I mean, what y'all just hear? Slave, not slave.
Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female,
Faith,
for you are all
covenant,
one in
nation.
Christ Jesus. And if you are Christ's, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. If you belong to Christ, you are counted as Abraham's child through faith.
So what is the inheritance? How do you get the inheritance?
Not by blood.
Not by
The
blood.
promises given to Abraham, Israel, and the Jews now come to us through Christ. Genesis 15:6
The Jews
tells us
come
that Abraham
to
believed in
us
the Lord.
by way of who? Not blood, but through Christ.
The promises given to Abraham, Israel, and the Jews now come to us through Christ. Genesis 15:6 tells us that Abraham believed in the Lord, and God counted it as his goodness. That same blessing of being made right with God by faith is ours in Christ. Romans 9:6 says, "For they are not all Israel who are of Israel." True Israel has always been defined by faith. Ephesians 2:19 says, "Now therefore you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God." You don't need Abraham's bloodline to be part of God's family. You need to be born again in Christ. Each of these identities points us to Jesus.
So are the Zionists, are they of Christ? So are they entitled to in the inheritance? No.
You don't need Abraham's bloodline to be part of God's family. You need to be born again in Christ. Each of these identities points us to Jesus Christ. He fulfills every promise. As a Hebrew, Jesus fulfills Abraham's promise. Galatians 3:16 says, "And to your seed, who is Christ." Jesus is the promised child through whom all nations are blessed. As an Israelite, Jesus fulfills the promises given to Jacob. Matthew 2:6 says, "A ruler will come who will shepherd my people Israel." Jesus is that shepherd who perfectly obeyed where Israel failed. As a Jew, Jesus fulfills the promises given to Judah. Revelation 5:5 declares, "Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed." Jesus is the Lion of Judah, the rightful heir to David's throne. He is the Messiah in him. The story of Abraham, Jacob, and Judah comes together. Through Christ, you receive the blessings of Abraham, share in the promises to Israel, and enter into the hope of the Jews.
A ruler was
Conclusion, the
came
Hebrews were the family of faith.
Jesus
People who crossed over with
Christ.
Abraham. The Israelites were the promised nation born from Jacob, the man who wrestled with God and won. The Jews were the tribe of Judah, the royal line through which the Messiah came. But through Jesus Christ, all three stories meet, and through him, you are invited into that same promised blessing, by faith, not bloodline. You are part of God's eternal family. Faith, not family history, is what defines the true children of God. Next time you read your Bible and see the words Hebrew, Israelite, or Jew, remember this: every one of those paths leads to one name, Jesus Christ. In him, you are joined into the promise, adopted into the blessing, and sealed with the same faith that began with Abraham. If this teaching has helped you, please like this video, subscribe, and share it. Drop a comment below. I am Abraham's seed through Christ. Until next time, may the Lord bless you. And always remember, in Jesus, the Hebrew of Hebrews, the true Israelite, and the Lion of Judah, you are a child of promise. God bless you. Let's look a little deeper at how the New Testament handles these terms, especially when talking about Jesus and his first followers. The very first church was completely Jewish. The 12 apostles, Jesus himself, and the thousands who believed after Peter's sermon on Pentecost, Acts 2:41, were all Jews, Israelites, and Hebrews. They were not leaving their identity. They were completing it. The apostle Paul, who was a Jew, was called to take the message of Jesus to the non-Jewish people who are called Gentiles. This created a new problem. Did a Gentile have to become a Jew first to be a Christian? Did they need to be circumcised and follow all the Jewish laws? The leaders of the early church met in Jerusalem to discuss this, as told in Acts 15. The decision was very important. They agreed that Gentile believers did not have to follow all the Jewish laws. Salvation was by grace through faith in Jesus for everyone, Jew and Gentile alike. Peter said in Acts 15:11. But we believe that through the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, we shall be saved in the same manner as they. This showed that the old divisions about who belonged to God's people were changing. However, this new unity in Christ did not mean that the promises made to Israel were simply gone. Paul makes this very clear in Romans chapters 9, 10, and 11. He stresses that God has not turned away from his people, Israel. In fact, he says the special position of the people of Israel is a key part of God's plan. Paul writes in Romans 9:4-5 that the Israelites have amazing advantages: the adoption as sons, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the worship of God, the promises, the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and most importantly, from whom, according to the flesh, Christ came. This shows that Jesus' own identity as a Jew is what gives power to the whole story.
Right.
The terms Hebrew Israelite and Jew still mattered. They remind us of the history that led to Jesus. The Hebrew family was chosen. The Israelite nation received the law. The Jewish tribe gave birth to the Messiah. Jesus' life fulfilled the meaning of all three names. The New Testament makes it clear that while God established a special relationship with the Hebrews, the Israelites, the Jews through birth and law, he also planned for all people to join his family through faith. Paul uses the picture of an olive tree in Romans 11. The natural branches of the tree are Israel. The Gentiles are like branches from a wild olive tree that are grafted in. The wild branches, Gentiles, are now sharing in the richness of the root, which is the rich history of the Jewish faith and its promises. But Paul warns the Gentiles not to become proud, because they are only supported by the root. This teaching shows a deep connection and an equal welcome. The connection is that the Messiah came from the Hebrew, Israelite, Jewish line. The equal welcome is that all people, through faith in him, can become children of Abraham and heirs to the promise. There is one family of God with its roots firmly in the history of Israel, but its branches now reaching out to the whole world. The next time you read your Bible, remember these layers of identity, for they all point to the one person who brings all people into God's family, Jesus Christ. He is the ultimate fulfillment of the promise given to Abraham.
Did that help you? I hope and pray that it helped you. Because you're not just entitled to the inheritance by being a Jew if you don't believe in Christ. You have to have faith and believe and accept Jesus Christ. And if you are a Jew who do not, then you're not entitled to the inheritance. It is by faith. Okay, good people? So that Zionist stuff, no. And, yeah, no. The Star of David is not even the original star. That's that Zionist stuff. Okay? Gotta go. I hope that helps. Y'all have a good one.